Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
The kids outside and PE, running the track and everything. It's been a long time coming. It's a very rewarding sight. I'm glad I got a chance to see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Doug Criddle.
Yes, I'd like to say that the Yuba Gardens band rocks. Thank you, guys. Good job.
Ms. Hasty.
Yes, echo. Very good. Good job, guys. And I'm really pleased with many changes that are happening in our district.
Very good.
I would also like to thank Mrs. Stewart, Mr. Hayes, for bringing the band out today. I know that's a lot of effort, but we certainly appreciate it. Hopefully the audience got to see a little of that. You and the whole program is just fantastic, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we have comments from school representatives. Marysville High School.
Good evening, everyone. So at MHS, we have 38 members attending the FFA conference in Sacramento this week. 6 of them will be competing. There are 3 finalists for state agri-science and 3 finalists for speaking. Those finalists are Jade Lasaga, Jacob Favell, and Jesus Ochoa. CASP testing starts tomorrow, and our CASP testing starts next week. On the 17th, we had our annual blood drive, which had 40+ participants and donors. Last Saturday, our Academic team attended state awards. We have a teammate who won gold in essay category. She has been super supportive over all of her teammates and is always the one to keep us on track, so I would like to say congratulations to Shauna Wonderling. The MHS is hosting an art show this week with first, second, and third place prize winners, plus People's Choice Award. They will be awarded with a cash prize. And last but not least, there will be a Key Club convention on April 1st through the 3rd in Reno, Nevada. It is a series of training, workshops, and educational assessments, plus C&H elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Lyndhurst High School.
Good afternoon. This past few weeks, we've had our Blazer Multi-Award ceremonies, which is also known as our BMAs. We had this on March 11th. We thought this was great as this was our first rally indoors in 2 years. It was really great. We had a lot of participation, and we recognized many, many students for their accomplishments, which I think is really great, as they should be recognized for all their accomplishments and everything they do. Another thing we have coming up is our Powerpuff Week, which is from April 4th through the 8th. Our dress-up days are as follows. We have Monday, which is class colors. Tuesday is barbecue dads versus soccer moms. And Wednesday we have actually a surprise, or you can call it a mystery day, which is Yin and Yang, which is a day where you can either wear black or white, but we're not gonna tell our students that. We're gonna surprise them and tell them the day of. And we chose this day as a way to get people who don't usually participate in our dress-up days to participate without them actually knowing, and they won't know until they arrive to school that morning. Another dress-up day is Thursday, which is Gender X, and Friday we have Cultural Day. Some of these days we also have alternate dress-ups, which is just colors they can wear. For example, on Cultural Day we have their flag colors, or Gender X we have purple, pink, and blue, and for soccer moms we have red. These are so we can include students even if they don't have to go and buy something expensive or buy anything to be able to participate in these days. They can just go ahead and wear a color. Another thing is that same week we have our Powerpuff game, which is a game in which girls play flag football and the boys cheerlead. This will be on April 8th before lunch, and actually during lunch we will have our food day in which our clubs will be selling food. And later on that night we will also be having our Sadie's Hawkins stands, and if you are all welcome to come if you would like to come and visit. And that is all.
Thank you. MCAA. Thank you. Now we have opportunity for employee organizations to address the board. I always skip this, I'm sorry. We have recognitions, and as you have probably heard, we had the honor band playing. I hope you got to get out there or could hear them. And all I can tell you is it's just remarkable what they've done through the COVID and everything else. So we really appreciate that. Superintendent? Yeah.
I just wanted to invite Mr. Hayes and Ms. Becky Stewart to say a few words about the phenomenal band. Thank you for letting me see them in Chico State this past weekend. It was wonderful.
Thank you so much for coming. So a little bit about our ensemble outside. So we had honor band this last weekend, which was select students from that ensemble outside, but this ensemble was comprised of 63 members of the 127-person Yuba Gardens band, and they range all the way from beginners to students that learned in COVID last year online and no screens on. It was great. So these students prepared two pieces since January, one called Dark Adventure and one called Spring. And Spring was a grade half, which is about a beginning band level piece, but for a more lyrical piece, those are usually harder. So it's about a grade 1, equivalent to what a band would be doing their first year of band. And then the second piece you heard today was called Dark Adventure. That was a grade 1.5, which should be around December of their second year. So that was a little above their level, but they reached it really, really well. And at festival at Chico State 2 weeks ago, they played, so when you go to festival, you play for 3 adjudicators in the back, and they have a copy of the scores for all the bands so they can see exactly what's happening, and then you get comments afterwards. And Yuba Gardens worked super, super hard. All those kids worked very hard, probably some of the hardest they've worked ever. And everything was very detail-oriented. We were cleaning things very detailed all the way leading up to this event, and they worked hard enough to earn a superior rating. And for a band festival, that's the highest you can receive. So a 1 is a superior, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to poor. So we got a superior rating and a unanimous superior because both judges gave us a superior rating. So that's very exciting. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to showcase their skills for you today.
Get this up to a normal height here, Ms. Stewart. I think all I would say, adding to that, is just as an administrator, it's such a pleasure to oversee and support the dozens and dozens of kids and all the hard work that they put into this, and to see the fruit of those labors come through out of a pandemic to get that superior rating, I think speaks volumes for the kids and certainly for our amazing instructor, Ms. Stewart, who certainly the ship doesn't move without her. So thank you sincerely to you, Ms. Stewart, and all the kids out there sweating in the sun. It is their hard work and passion that I love to see every single day. So very proud of everybody involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Dr. Fowler, do you want to introduce the next?
Sure. I'd like to call out Ms. Angela Siegel and the Dean of Super Academic Excellence. Oh, I wasn't on tape, sorry. Angela Stiegel and her group of phenomenal academic decathlon students.
I was going to say, I sure hope the board is going to come down front, because I already terrified them by announcing they were going to run the gauntlet, and they all looked at me real weird. So, They should be on there. Oh, no, I'm good. Sorry. So for those of you that don't know, since it has been a little while since Academic Decathlon has been here, Academic Decathlon is actually the premier academic competition in the United States and in the state of California. Been around longer than I've been alive, which makes it really old. For Marysville High School, though, our team has worked 2 decades tirelessly to get where we are today. This year is a rebuilding year for us, considering our team was eliminated last year due to various circumstances. And so this is the group of young adults who are putting Marysville High School Academic Decathlon back on the map and doing so in spectacular fashion. Marysville High School's Academic Decathlon team has, since the return of Academic Decathlon to Yuba County in 2001 and 2002, the Marysville High School team has won the county competition 17 out of 20 tries. Along the lines, we also have 3 state championships to our name. And so this year, they had the theme of water as an essential resource. We already know next year's theme, which is the American Revolution and the New Nation. And so for county competition, we had team members Lydia Donaldson, Samantha Hamilton, Ryan Love, Samantha Critchfield, Shauna Wonderling, Jariah Lott, and Brighton Quintana. For state competition, we had Lydia Donaldson, Samantha Hamilton, Shauna Wonderling, and Jariah Lott. Now, you notice they're wearing a whole lot of medals. So as I call them up here and announce all of their awards, you're going to notice this is a really long list, so bear with me. Lydia Donaldson, who is actually out at tennis competing, we've loaned her off to the tennis team so that, they can have a #1 tennis person as well as we can have a #1 for Academic. At county competition, Lydia won gold medals in speech, interview, music, language and literature, essay, social science, math, interview overall, music overall, social science overall, the highest scoring MHS decathlete, and was first place overall in the competition for her category of scholastic.
I just wanted to say, if you had parents that wanted to take pictures, come on up here in the front. You can take pictures of your children.
And even better yet, because if you come up front, that means I'm not in the picture. So it works out great for me. Next up is Samantha Hamilton. And Samantha Hamilton has a whole neck full of medals. She has gold medals for speech, interview, economics, music, economics overall. She also has a silver medal for second highest scoring decathlete on the team and a silver medal for honors overall score for the entire competition. So Samantha now gets to meet all of you. I figured there would be at least a couple of hugs along the way here. Also this evening, Brighton Quintana, he won gold medals for speech, essay, speech overall, and he has a silver medal for second place varsity overall in the competition. So, Brighton. Ryan Love is another one of our teammates. He won gold medals in science and economics. And Samantha Critchfield, another one of our decathletes, has her gold medal for her team championship, and she is here this evening with us too. Additionally, we have Jariah Lott. And Jariah won gold medals for math, for interview, and third place varsity overall score for the entire competition. Additionally, Shonda Wonderling has another neck full of medals, showing gold medals in science, art, economics, music, language and literature, social science. She has a bronze medal for being the third highest scoring decathlete on the team. She has another gold medal for being the highest scoring varsity decathlete overall in the competition. And last but not least, as Jariah mentioned in her comments to the board, we just had the award ceremony for state competition on Saturday, and we had 2 gold medalists from that. Lydia Donaldson won a gold medal for being the highest scoring decathlete from our team, and Shauna Wonderling won a gold medal for having the highest scoring varsity essay in the entire Division IV competition for state. So before I go up there, just to let people know, I am starting to feel really old at this because of the fact that I am the only person from Yuba County Academy Decathlon that is still from the original year of the 2001-2002. Thank you.
Picture of everybody. All right. Any parents want to get any pictures? You're welcome to come up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Do you have Rotary kids here?
No, I have my Rotary kids. I'm looking.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead. I invited our Rotary speakers. Marysville High School students participated in the Rotary speech contest a week ago. They submit applications and they draft a speech and are sponsored by a teacher and coached by a teacher. And so we had 4 students present and earn a little cash from Rotary and attended a luncheon. Thank you, Dr. Asrani, for attending. It was a nice event and it gives kids a great opportunity to practice all those soft skills and public speaking. So I'd like to recognize Ben Fowler, Isabella Haywood, Jesus Ochoa, and the winner of the contest last week was Vanessa Virgin, a 12th grader. Well, Isabella, go ahead, sweetheart. Go ahead, and then I'll give you your certificate.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to reintroduce you. We have a couple speech winners also at the Rotary Peachtree Speech Competition. I'd like to recognize Miss Anna Galvin for her award. And also, we had a student compete in the Lions Club competition in Loma Rica, and that award winner is Salma Alfaki. Congratulations. And we have a couple categories of visual arts winner. As I'm sure you know, the month of March is a month where we celebrate music and the arts. And I'm honored to be able to bring forward some arts award winners to you tonight. Our first group of students are winners of the Scholastic Arts competition. We had MCAA receive multiple awards, and the awards are Gold Key, Silver Key, and Honorable Mentions. The members from MCAA that received these awards, if you would come forward as I read your name. The first one is Joey Martin. Next, I'd like to recognize Hannah Mita. Ileana Walter. Amy Baeza. Ava Coons. Hope Cross. Diana Franco. Sydney Gardner. Devin Giardini. Alexandra Gianco. Kevin Briseño. Natalie Grissom. And Alicia Kahn. And I have one more category to tell you about, and we're obviously very exceptionally proud of our artists at MCAA. This next group of students, we had 7 students from MCAA enter the Kingsley Art Competition. This is a juried art competition, and all 7 of those students were accepted. This art exhibit, which they're going to be a part of, is held at the Crocker Art Museum. The students will have their art on display for a month. This contest around the Crocker Art Museum is open to students within a 60-mile radius, and they receive hundreds of entries. There are 70 students accepted to display their work at the show. We're very proud of these artists. And those artists are Caitlin Dobson, Hannah Mita, Ileana Walter, Kevin Briseño, Kenneth Zhang, Layla Frias, and Hope Cross. And if we could have all the MCAA award winners please come up so we can take a group picture, I would appreciate that.
Got everybody in there? Okay. Everybody's in? No, it's only this right here on the end. There you are. I can see you. Yep. Okay. Yeah, perfect. All right, so everybody right here on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. And then just going to hang out for some more pictures. And we also didn't get the MHS student who won the Rotary speech contest. If she's still here, we'd love to get a picture. Is
Thank you, everybody.
I'd like to invite Miss Amy Stratton to do a brief presentation on the arts. Is that what it is? Oh, no, wait a minute. No. It's employee recognition. Sorry. Employee recognition. We've already done this. It's all done.
Okay. We'll get our... We're number 8. Opportunity for employee organizations to address the board. Up there? All right. Opportunity for employee organizations to address the board. Marysville Unified Teachers Association. Operating Engineers Local Union number 3.
You know I'm here. You can't be...
Come on up. Sorry.
Mr. Davis, you couldn't be so lucky as to have me run off. Sorry, I was getting awards delivered off to a student who was unable to make it this evening. So, in looking at the agenda this evening, it looks like this might be a relatively short evening, but that's kind of like when you're in law enforcement and you say it's a quiet evening. It's a surefire way to screw it up. But along those lines, I'm going to try to keep the muted comments short this evening. One thing that we would like is on a really selfish front. I forgot when I was up here recognizing my team to recognize we have a retiree who actually sponsored the awards dinner for our team on Saturday while we sat watching the online version. Linda Strang actually donated our meal for us that evening, so we did want to make sure to thank her. Also, as far as the Marysville Unified Teachers Association, our comments for this evening, it recently came to light that we will not be going with late start next year. And so for those people that may be wondering exactly kind of what happened and how this came to be all of a sudden, in October of 2019, when the state decided that we were going to enact legislation that mandated late start for middle school and high school, the deadline was June of 2022. However, there was a caveat, and that caveat was you could delay it if you had a bargaining agreement with your teachers union by January 1st of 2020. And so despite the fact that negotiations were not particularly going well at that point in time, and despite the fact that it was a huge give on the part of the teachers union, we did just that to help out the district. We came to a tentative agreement with the district on December 17th of 2019 in order to give the district at least one more year to either implement late start or to somehow get us kind of a backdoor version of being a rural district of some sort. And so as we started all of a sudden hearing that we were going to be doing late start next year, the teachers union started asking questions about what's the rush, since it seems like we really don't have a solid footing because of, first and foremost, a shortage of bus drivers. And we were told, well, we have to do it. And so the teachers union brought up the fact that we have this gift to the district that you guys technically have one more year. And so I've been asked a great deal about it, so I thought I would clarify, and also a reminder to the board, along with a reminder to the teachers union that this is the kind of sacrifice that your teachers and your teachers union will make for the district and for the betterment of all. That was the only reason that we did that. It surely was not because we wanted to give away that large of a bargaining chip or leverage within things, but we saw that giving our district one more year for that would be beneficial to all 10,000 students and 500 teachers, because we do have transportation issues. We have huge transportation issues even before COVID. Also, speaking of negotiations, we had negotiations yesterday, and so we believe we're making some headway in regards to a couple of language issues, so that's a plus. Again, the conversations yesterday were collaborative, collegial, and so we think we kind of had a bit of a breakthrough on one language item through a very collaborative conversation that went on, so that's a plus. We are hopeful that that will translate also to the conversations and discussions in regards to salary as well. Additionally, on a last final note for this evening, just a reminder that the state and national days of the teacher are rapidly approaching. As a matter of fact, I believe there's only one school board meeting between now and then. And so the state day of the teacher is on May 11th. The national day of the teacher is on May 3rd. And so it would be nice if the teachers could get some recognition before that day actually happens instead of the after the fact or not at all that we've been getting the last few years. And so I know it's been a crazy year, so we thought hopefully bringing this to everybody's attention right now, we could maybe do something at the next board meeting as far as recognizing teachers for that. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Operating Engineers Local Number 3. California School Employees Associations Number 326 and 648. Association of Management and Confidential Employees. Supervisory Unit. Now we're going to move to presentations. We have Dobbins Elementary and Yuba-Sutter Elementary.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to come and talk about my kids and my staff. So we'll get going as to what we worked on. First, you need to see the cute faces. It's always good to I have to remind myself at recess what we do this for. And these are the reasons that we toil as we do. We look at our site plan, we have two goals is all we have. We keep it simple. The belief, my belief and the staff agreed with me that reading is the key to learning. And so we target that. So we target goal 1, which matches the LCAP 1, and we want to provide learning opportunities that result in increased academic achievement. Now, for us, the targeted population is socioeconomically disadvantaged. We're always roughly right around 80% at both Dobbins and Yuba-Sutter. So we keep the same goal for both schools. When you're doing two schools, you try to keep it simple so you can keep track. So it's both needed. So how do we meet this goal? First and foremost, the staff has come up with, at both schools, a wonderful targeted intervention. Now, we call it different things. At Dobbins, it's called Shoot for the Stars. At Yuba-Sutter, it's called Breakfast Club. Now, the problem that we had at both schools was with combo classes at Dobbins and single grade levels at Yuba-Sutter, how do you target your intervention with only one class? You know, you look at the PLC model, you do grade groups, grade teams. We couldn't do that. So we spent quite a few hours trying to figure out how to do this. And the teachers at both schools agreed that the way to do this was forget grade level, look at what they need, find out where they're at, and target those specific areas. So they're targeting for the younger kids, believe it or not, letter recognition, phonemic awareness, sounds, decoding. Then we move on to trying to figure out like fluency, how quickly are they doing, and then we move to whether or not they're retaining, they're being able to understand what they're reading. Now, we've been doing that at both schools. We started that way prior to the pandemic, and we saw great growth in our test scores. The first year we did it with only a half hour of intervention. What Yuba-Sutter did this year was they said, we know that the loss is huge with our kids. And so the teachers in the younger grades actually found a way to do an hour of intervention every single day. And so we're looking forward to seeing how well. Now, they even went a step further, and they said, hey, we got this idea because we're seeing these kids grow and they're getting put into another group. And we want to do an award at our monthly gathering to celebrate that. And so each kid, when they get the boot, as they call it, to the next group, they get a pencil with an eraser with a boot on it. And we celebrate them every month at our gathering. And it's just been a great thing. The kids are loving it. Now, my fear when we started this was, what do we do with the older kid? Let's say a fourth grader that's still decoding. Now he's with first graders. How do we do that? Teachers go, that's not a problem. We'll make him our helper. And lo and behold, it has worked perfectly. The kids have no clue what's going on, and they're getting what they need, and they think they're helping the younger kid, so it's worked out perfectly. The other thing is when we get our Title I monies, we have focused on putting paras in the lower grades, K through 2. We want to try to do all that we can to intervene at those lower grades so that there's not a learning loss there as much as possible. And then at Dobbins, we didn't have the money to do paras, but we had a student support specialist that we were able to hire. She's highly qualified. She was my predecessor, Lynn Cardoza. And what we've seen with her working one-on-one in small groups is kids are raising their reading level a grade to a grade and a half every year with her help. So it's been money well spent. The other area that we put it in is our literary resource technician, librarian, and then library books. What we found over the last few years is the kids are getting into reading, so we got to keep getting them new stuff. And so we're focusing on that to try to keep that rolling. Now, the second goal is talking about enhancing current learning environment, ensuring that schools provide a physically and emotionally safe environment. Our issue is absenteeism. So we target the chronically absent, and 16% of those are socioeconomically disadvantaged. I wish I could say we had more success with this, but we have not. Here's what we're doing, though. We're doing attendance meetings. We're doing attendance awards at every monthly gathering. Every classroom has social emotional learning being implemented in it, along with, at Yuba-Sutter, calming corners and things to try to help kids struggle. Now, we had a grant that's just ended this year with Four Winds Indian Education out of Chico. They were coming alongside us to help with this. They had the monies to really put into the awards for kids. And here's what we found. We did challenges with pizza parties Sundays. We walked around campus with college t-shirts and pencils and all sorts of things from different colleges. And if they were in class, they got one. When a class got to a certain amount of attendance as a whole group, they got a pizza party. We did that for a whole year. It raised it 1%. And so what we realized was it's not our students. It's another factor, and it's home. And so we're still trying to figure out how to increase people wanting their kids at school, but that's what we're finding is the issue. The kids, in fact, we had kids fighting with parents to come to school, which is exactly what you want. Now, the last part of my presentation is I want to talk to you about the new program at Dobbins, the 7th through 12th. First of all, the parents of the elementary students are super excited that they are still able to send their kids there. So that's been really great. What we're looking at is I still think there's a component needed for secondary on the mountain. And we found that there are 23 current students of Abraham Lincoln that are on the mountain, 7th through 12th. What we can do is take an Abraham Lincoln teacher. We have space at Dobbins that's on the opposite side of the elementary school, and we can put them there. We can allow for daily access for those students to the teacher, even internet access. We found that during COVID, opening up both Yuba-Sutter and Dobbins to internet access for secondary kids, we had about 30 kids per day between the two sites coming, and they were not getting transportation, many of them. So we want to make sure that we provide that. Now, I talked with Greg at Transportation, and he said, yeah, we can do transportation in between the morning and the afternoon. So after they're done with the morning routes for all the schools, they can pick some of those kids up, bring them to Dobbins, and before the afternoon routes, they can take those kids home. So we can even provide a form of transportation, which would give them several hours of academic time. Now with that, we already have a PE teacher that comes to Dobbins once a week, so why not add a class for these kids? Or two. There's room there to do that, give them an opportunity to get together for PE, provide CTE classes as well during the times that they're there to get them to want to be there. Different clubs and activities like leadership, Odyssey of the Mind, and individual sports. One of the things that I think is different from my day when it comes to sports is esports. Kids are into that, but there's been interest in the community into a bass fishing high school team. There is tournaments for them, a trap shooting team, and then obviously robotics competitions are large. We have several opportunities for internships and externships. I met with Lake Francis, which is right across the street. They actually requested a meeting with me. They said, we're opening up a new outdoor education area. We want to offer that to your staff and your students to use whenever they want during the middle of the week. I threw out the idea of internships for high school age kids, and they went, that would be fantastic. And we're going to meet again towards the end of the year, and they were going to go back and look at the areas in which they could do it, because they have several types of areas. They've got maintenance, they've got hospitality, they've actually got leadership for doing camps and things like that. So it's pretty exciting to see what the possibilities are. And then, of course, for secondary, we have to figure out how to do all this. We want to try to provide secondary opportunities. One of the things that for kids up on the mountain that are doing independent studies, they're isolated. And we know that we need to get them where they can be social and have a great time with kids of their age. So there's going to need to be dances, STEAM nights, e-gaming nights, and a gong show. Now this one's the exciting thing is what you do is you have staff and certain student groups that plan acts that are going to get gonged. So it's not a surprise to the kids or the staff. And then you let the other kids do things that are like a talent show. It's just really an enjoyable evening for everybody. So that's kind of what's on the plan and on the horizon, that we're still moving forward for that. And we're excited to see what happens next year and how many kids take advantage of this. I'm also excited to see now that the elementary school is there, how many more kids we get as a result of that. So thank you.
So, Mr. Triplett, I would just like to thank you and your team at Yuba-Sutter for recognizing the need of students and then allowing the team to come up with the plan of how you're going to give that to kids. And you know, that's what education's all about. And trying to bring kids back up to a level that we all expect is part of our job. So thank you very much for doing that.
To announce that we have a media source here who is taping our meeting, just in case you hadn't noticed. Now we have a presentation from Amy Stratton.
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Azzarani, members of the cabinet, and members of the audience. The month of March is the month of arts. This last board meeting, we had a lot of music. We talked about music. We saw our students. We had all the honor band students here. But there's more to art than just music. And so I have a short presentation that displays some of the other arts that are happening across our district. And you'll also get to learn a little bit about art.
The
much. Thank you.
Jennifer?
I have a question. Mr. Lohman, speaking of arts, what are the dates for visiting the Crocker Art Gallery when our students will have their stuff on display?
The reception for the artists it's the weekend of the third week of April. I'll be sure to send it to the board to get you those exact dates, but it's late April and into May.
Good, thank you.
Jennifer, would you introduce the folks doing the presentation on facilities condition?
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for the opportunity to introduce PBK. It's Jeff Peterson and Max Medina, and they are going to give us an overview of the facilities condition report.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Peterson with PBK, and I'd like to give you a brief overview of the condition assessment report that we have completed. The condition assessment report is but one piece of the overall facilities master plan that we are working through to provide the district to provide the information needed to then apply for bonding to improve and provide new space for your district at the various school locations. The condition assessment report was conducted by myself and several people of our team, and we went around to each school site, all sites plus including the district office here at the Marysville High School campus. And we looked at various elements of the school across the site, of the buildings, the exterior, the interior. We basically went into every space and we looked at each wall, each floor, each ceiling. We had mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers that looked at the mechanical systems, plumbing systems, and electrical systems as well. We also had a building envelope engineer that looked at the exteriors, roof, exterior walls. We also looked at site elements. And we rated those into 4 different categories. And you'll see them on the screen here between 1, 2, 3, and 4. We rated a 1 as a condition that we saw that needed it was in poor condition and it needed some work very soon. A rating of 2 was rated for a condition that we saw that was poor, but it wasn't needing immediate attention. We could it could be addressed in the next handful of years. A rating of 3 was a fair condition that we would give an item that would need to be looked at in several years, 5 to 8 years, say, and then areas that we saw that were in good condition that only needed typical regular maintenance and upkeep that didn't need any immediate attention, we rated as a 4. Going across all the schools, all the sites, we rated various elements, as you can see, from site to building elements, mechanical, electrical systems. We did look at ADA accessibility items that might need either improvement or work. If there was work that was going to be done on the school, that would have to be addressed as well. I'm going to go through a general synopsis of each school and kind of give you a high-level item of several things that we noticed at each school to kind of give you a flavor of what we noticed at the school. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as I can. It'd probably be, about 35 to 40 minutes. So if you need to take a potty break, that's fine. Let's start with item number, the first school, Abraham Lincoln Independent School. This is a one-building school. It was built in 1998. It's right here on the Marysville overall campus. In looking at that facility, things that stood out to us that wanted to make note of were the exterior building. The siding is starting to decay and rot on some of the wood siding. The ramps and railings are in need of some work. On the interior, the walls and the ceilings are needing some work, and as you know, the school really doesn't have a bona fide site or a parking lot, and so parking could be something that might need to be addressed. The next school we went to was Arboga Elementary School. This school was originally built in 1957, and then several buildings added on to it. There is 3 new buildings that are currently being built right now that are scheduled to open up later this year. Major things that we saw at the Arboga School were that the roofs and the exterior siding on the older buildings were in need of some work coming in the near future. The kitchen is small, and the interior finishes are starting to be worn and dated. The lighting at the corridors are poor, and the power has the original service, and that's going to need to be upgraded at some point soon. The next school we went to was Browns Valley Elementary School. This school was originally built, sorry, I need to look at my map here. It was originally built in 1950 with another addition of a building in 2010. Items that we noted, and you'll see on the sheet here, we have the matrix with the color code of the ratings of 1 through 4, and it kind of gives you, hopefully gives you a snapshot of, if you see a lot of green, if you see a lot of red, see a lot of yellow or orange, gives you a flavor of what we saw, an overall picture. Things that we noted at Browns Valley were with the original building, again, the exterior siding, the windows and the exterior doors were aging and wearing. And you'll see that with a lot of the older buildings across all the sites in the district. The exteriors really take the most beating and need the most upkeep, especially with the wood siding. On the interior, wall ceilings and doors, casework was starting to show their age as well. The plumbing fixtures, a lot of them were original and will need to be replaced soon. There is ductwork on the roof that was noted to be compromised. The fire alarm system is the original and looks to be old and outdated and needing to be updated as well. The outlet receptacles were sparse, and there needs to be more. The new classroom building appeared to be in pretty good shape. We didn't find much with the new building. Next school site that we looked at was Cedar Lane Elementary. This school was originally built in 1950 with a classic finger plan classroom wings, and then buildings added on to it in 75 and in 2000 as well. Things that we noted at this school, some of the roofs and the exterior, some of the exterior siding again were starting to wear. Restrooms, both the exterior and the interior space of the restrooms were showing their age as well. The classrooms, some of the classrooms, casework was really poor, and some of the flooring was in need of replacement. There were 4 units that were noted, HVAC units, that were past their useful life and would need to be replaced very soon. And it was also noted by our electrical engineer that the power service, the switchboards and panel boards were original and need to be updated. Next school we went to was a community day school. Again, right here on the Marysville High School campus. This school was built in 2010, and it really is in pretty good condition because of the newness and age. Some things that we did note were, again, the exterior siding at the restrooms appear to be wearing, and the entry signage, it's poor, and branding of the school could be improved. Next school we went to was Cordua Elementary School. The school was originally built in 1950 with a couple buildings added on in the 70s and in the early 2000s. Things that we noted at this school, again, exterior wood siding was starting to rot and age and very weathered. The windows were old, lacking energy efficiency. They were single pane. The roofs were starting to show wear as well, and the fire alarm is the original and will need to be updated sometime soon as well. Next school we went to was Covalad Elementary School. This school was built in 1850 with some a larger building space built in 1970, and then classrooms added on after that in the 90s and 2000s. Things that we noted at this school was, as you know, the entry and the admin space, as well as the kitchen at this school, is very small. And it's very tight. It doesn't have an entry presence per se, and it's not a deficiency, but it obviously something that we noted that could be improved greatly. The windows in the original building are old and single pane as well. The roofs are starting to show wear. On the site, there is no drop-off with accessible parking is poor, and part of that is because there's it's separated from the entry of the school. It just doesn't have a good entry feel with the parking. Lighting and signage are poor as well across the site. The fire alarm system is the original and needs to be updated, and there were several units, HVAC units, that were noted that needed to be looked at soon because they're past their useful life. Next school we went to was Dobbins Elementary School. This school was built in 1975 originally, with the majority of the school being built much later in 2000 and 2010. Things that we noted at this school were the roofs and exterior at the original classroom building were poor and need to be addressed. There were several locations at all the buildings that were noted where there are penetrations in the exterior wall that need to be sealed up. There are water stains in the admin building, in the ceiling. The new multi-purpose room has some glulam beams that had some cracks in it, and that just we would recommend that a structural engineer at some point come out, even because the newness of the building should be looked at to make sure that it's structurally sound. And the panel boards in the kitchen are full, so if there's any additional load that is required or needed, a new panel board would have to be installed. Next school we went to was Edgewater Elementary School. This school is, I believe, the newest school in the district. It was built in 2009 and 2010, primarily with additional classrooms added later. Because of the age, this was in really good condition. One thing that we did note in some of the portable classrooms, the exterior wood siding and the roof, again, were starting to be weathered and worn, and half of the classrooms showed carpet wear as well. But overall, very good condition. Next school we went to was Ella Elementary School. This school was originally built in 1939. It is, I believe, one of the oldest schools that the district owns. There were a lot of additional buildings built in 1960, and then other classrooms added as well in the 2000s. Another two-story classroom building built in 2014, more recently. This school, the classroom building that is new, is obviously in good condition, and it doesn't really need much work. The original building, the classroom wings, the windows are old, they're single pane, they're not energy efficient. Many of the roofs were noted needing to be replaced or repaired. The bathrooms have poor lighting, and the fixtures are poor there as well. There were several HVAC units noted at this school that were approaching the end of their useful life as well. Next school we went to was Foothill Intermediate School. This is a one-building school, save one classroom building, that was built in 1975. The condition of this school is in relatively good condition. However, there's a lot of needs, as you know, that it needs. The building layout, for one, is very poor. There's a lot of code violations with exiting classrooms, exiting into other classrooms. There's no hallway corridors that are rated. There was no exit doors that were wide enough. And I know there's work that's going on at this school, and this is starting to take place. This was after we assessed the building, so that work isn't included in our assessment. And room signage across the large room space is poor. The fire alarm system is the original at the site. It slopes down to the parking lot pretty drastically, and so there's no handicapped accessibility that meets code, and there are multiple areas of asphalt upheavals because of tree roots and whatnot as well. The exhaust system is in poor condition, and the electrical switchboard is lacking, and the generator is very old and needs to be upsized to take care of the needs of the school in an emergency. Next school we went to was Johnson Park Elementary School. This school was originally built in 1963 with classrooms added in the early 2000s and even up to 10 years ago. Items that we noted at Johnson Park were at the original building. Again, the exterior walls, windows, and doors are old, lack energy efficiency, and are worn. And as well as in the original building, the interior finishes are worn and poor. The roofs on some of the buildings as well need to be replaced and updated. The kitchen at this school The fire alarm, the kitchen, the restroom inside the kitchen, and the outlets all need to be updated and increased in quantity. Across the site, the signage was poor for the school, and the drop-off area was, I believe it was, the layout of the drop-off area, it doesn't work very well with a bus drop-off, with it being double loaded, with having to cross one to the other. Next school we went to was Kynoch Elementary School. This school was originally built in 1950 with a classic classroom finger floor plan, as well with some classrooms added later in the early 2000s. Again, with the original building at this school, the exterior walls, doors, and windows are needing to be looked at and replaced in many instances. Interior finishes as well at this school are showing wear. There were some roofs that were showing need to be replaced or renovated or restored. The restrooms were poor at this school. It was noted that the site security at Kynoch was lacking, and the electrical systems, lighting, receptacle, switchboard, and the electrical distribution service all were in need of attention. Next school we went to was Linda Elementary School. This school was originally built in 1958 with some classrooms added on later on. At Linda Elementary, we did note that in 3 of the original buildings, they were well maintained and in good condition. However, they were old and outdated. Roofs were needing to be replaced, and the exterior envelope, especially near the roof, the fascias and trims were showing tremendous dry rot that need to be addressed. Then the classroom wings, the interiors are worn. The HVAC, the HVAC units in the cafe, there's an evaporative cooler that is past its useful life, and the classrooms, the split systems are old and needing to be updated soon as well. The kitchen has lighting and receptacle needs, and the electrical distribution and switchboard service is in need of being updated as well. Next school we went to was Lyndhurst High School. Lyndhurst High School was originally built in 1975, and then classrooms added on after that, with the latest in 2010, a 2-story classroom building as well, which is in good condition. The original buildings, the layout of the school was laid out very well, but because of the age, a lot of the exterior walls and windows are in need of repair. There are interior finishes that are worn, but especially dated, that should be updated. There are some ceiling water damage areas in the admin building, especially in the nurse's room, which shows a sign of leakage either from the roof or from an HVAC or water line utility pipeline running through the ceiling space. That needs to further investigation to see where that leak is coming from. The kitchen interiors are old and dated. The restroom fixtures and finishes across the school and the original classroom buildings are in need of repair. The locker rooms associated with the gym, have they're dated and they need to be updated at some point in the near future. We also noted as well on the site that the field and the bleachers and the press box at the field are old and need to be addressed. And we'll be addressing a few of these issues as a subsequent to kind of give you an idea of a rough estimate of cost on a couple of these. Next school we went to was Loma Rica Elementary School. This school was originally built in 1970. Then there were buildings added onto it in the 90s and also in the early 2000s. Items to note at Loma Rica Elementary School were at several of the classroom buildings. The exteriors were aged and worn. In the multipurpose room, the interior finishes, floor, ceiling, and walls, as well as casework in the room, and the restrooms were old and starting to show a lot of wear and tear. Across the site, there are a lot of ramps and walkways that are either not compliant or it's very awkward to walk around the site and to get around. The path of travel is difficult with the site being sloped as it is between the buildings. The building signage is lacking. The parking is split between an upper lot and a lower lot, and it's awkward when most of the parking that is used is on the upper part of the campus, and the admin entry of the school is on the other side near the other parking lot that doesn't seem to be used as much. So it's just a disconnect of parking and entry and presence of the school. The kitchen exhaust hood was noted to be missing. The fire alarm and the electrical switchboard is original and is either failing or needs to be updated. Next school we went to was Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts, which is again here on the overall larger Marysville High School campus. It was built in 2002 with the majority of the campus classrooms and spaces being built in 2006. Again, because of the age of the school is in relatively good condition. Some of the things that we did note were the restroom floors and restroom partitions were worn and or had graffiti on them or rust. There was a storage building. By the nature of a storage building, it needs some work, but it kind of falls off on low priority probably. But it was noted that there, on the exterior, it was starting to show wear. There was some dry rot and there were ceiling stains, evidence of a leak in the roof. We turn to Marysville High School. This campus was originally built in 1940 with other buildings added to it in the 70s and even the latest one in 2010 with another two-story classroom building. Some items that we noted here at Marysville High School was the field house and weight room. Because of the age of the building, it's very cramped. The interior finishes are very poor. Circulation just doesn't happen in the weight room because of how they use it. It's just too cramped in. There are evidence of interior wall finish that needs to be addressed. Exterior walls that need to be sealed in the field house proper. We could see the light coming through from the inside, light from the outside coming in. The building entry and exit has ramps and stairs that are non-compliant. The walkways around the campus have upheavals because of tree roots and should be addressed. In the original building, in the classroom wings, because of the age, a lot of the interior doors, the restrooms are old and outdated, and the interior finishes need some work as well. The HVAC equipment, many of the buildings have units that are reaching the end of their useful life as well. We also noted on the site that the track and field size, condition, the lighting is poor and should be updated and or replaced completely to make it usable. Next, we went to Anna McKenna Intermediate School. This school was originally built in 1955, with buildings added onto the campus in the 70s and also in the early 2000s. Items to note at McKinney School were in the original buildings, in the classroom wings, the exterior wood siding and the stucco were worn and dated. The windows were also old, single pane, lacking energy efficiency. In the restrooms, there were several water stains in the ceiling that were noted that need to be looked at. In selected areas, the school has gone through some renovations, and in those areas, it appeared to be in really very good condition, and overall appeared that the school was being maintained well. There is a library, an octagon-shaped library that it's in good condition and well maintained, but it is dated. The finishes are in need of updating. Next one we went to was Olivehurst Elementary School. Olivehurst was originally built in 1951, a classic finger floor plan wing as well. Other buildings built subsequent to 1951 in the 90s with some classrooms and in the 2000s. Things to note that we saw at Olivehurst were the roofs again were needing to be have some repair or being replaced. The windows were single pane on many of the buildings also. The restrooms, both the finishes and the fixtures, were outdated and showing wear and age. On the interiors, there were water stains, primarily on the interior. The ceilings were needing help with some water stains scattered throughout several of the classroom spaces. The mechanical and electrical systems at this site appeared to be in good condition. Next school we went to was South Lyndhurst Continuation High School, adjacent to Marysville High School here. This school was built in 2006 with some other buildings in subsequent years shortly after that. It does have a storage building back from the 90s. This, as well as a relatively new school, not a lot that we found that needed to be reported. Some things that we did see were some of the roofs that were standing seam metal roofs. We're showing some dry rot around the fascia boards around the perimeter at the roof level. Some of the exterior wood siding was showing dry rot, and this school doesn't have a drop-off zone to speak of. A few more here. We went to Yuba-Sutter Elementary School. This school was originally built in 1952. Classic finger floor plan as well as a newer building built in 2013. In the newer building, we didn't find a lot of deficiencies because of the recent construction of the building. It was in good condition. The original building, however, showed a lot of things that wanted to make note of. Wood siding was showing where windows were old, outdated, single pane. A lot of the interiors were dated. There were some ceiling, stains in ceilings from water. Leaks either on the roof or a utility system going through the ceiling space. The kitchen at this school is very small and should be updated. There is a restroom building that is no longer used. It's used for storage. It's been neglected, and it really should be taken down because to restore it would probably be cost more than to redo the whole restroom building altogether. In the new building, like I said, is in good condition. The accessible parking is limited. It doesn't seem to be compliant because of the sloped parking lot area. There is an upper parking lot that has poor lighting that needs to be addressed. There are exterior roof ductworks that appeared to be damaged or crushed that were noted on the exterior, and water heaters were old and past their useful life. Next school we went to was Yuba Gardens Middle School. Yuba Gardens was originally built in 1950 with additional buildings added after that. Things to note at Yuba Gardens, again, were the exterior. They were dated, but not quite as in bad shape, just mostly dated exteriors. The windows appeared to be single pane, however. On the interiors, they're worn and dated. There's quite a lot of mismatched ceiling tiles in the classrooms, the glue-on tiles. VCT flooring is worn in many classrooms, and the casework is chipped and old as well. The entry administration staff area at this school is very small. The kitchen is very small as well. There is a workshop room. It's a makeshift workshop room. It's a classroom that was made into a workshop room that doesn't have exhaust, and so there needs to be if a workshop space is needed to stay at this school, there really needs to be a bona fide space that is designed for a bona fide workshop area. The accessible parking at this school is non-compliant. There is hardscape areas in the playground that are spidering. Asphalt is needing to be replaced or a new seal coat put on, a new striping. The building signage is poor, and the electrical distribution system and the electrical panels as well are in many cases the original and need to be updated. And the last site we'll make mention of is not a school site actually, but it's the district offices here that we're in now, as well as some of the maintenance buildings here on the site. This building, best we can see, was originally built in 1928. with some of the other shop buildings and maintenance buildings built in the 40s, early 40s. As you know, because of the age, there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. Some are feasible, some are not. There are a handful of the facility storage buildings that office areas are good. Many of them are in poor condition. Shop areas typically don't need a lot of work because the nature of the area, it takes abuse, and that's okay. But in some of the office areas, some of them they're just not maintained. Drywall's missing. There's no ceiling. The floors are just concrete and or cracky concrete. The district office building itself has gone through several areas where there's been renovations, but there are areas within this building as well that need work. Some of the restrooms, the finishes are dated. There's several historically long-standing water stains in the roof and in some of the hallways that should be looked at, have been looked at, and I think they just keep cropping up as best that they can take care of them. They are. And then there is the auditorium, which is not in use right now, and I think that's another topic, a discussion for another time. I think of if that's going to be looked at to bring back into service. Beautiful building. That would be wonderful to bring back to life. I will introduce my partner here, Max. He's going to go through a couple items that we specifically wanted to give some cost items on. Yeah.
Sure, I get to close with the last 3 slides. And I hope it's good information. We looked at a couple of sites that were specifically needed to just give you an up-to-date thing on what we think it might be to update them. Oops, let me go back here. Lyndhurst High School, we went over this before, but the bleachers, the press box, there's some path of travel that would be associated with a kind of job like that. Mainly the bleachers are just out of shape and they're old. We've done projects like this before. This is about a $1.8 million project. When I mention costs, they're based on a couple of things. They're current examples that we've got of all of these on the books within 1 or 2 years. We've escalated it for the normal prices that we see coming right now. Also, I want to note that these are high-level costs. Costs are volatile right now, and they do include project costs. It's construction plus all the soft costs, engineering fees, DSA fees, and all that sort of thing. Okay. Marysville High School, we've talked about the track and field back here. It is, it's kind of non-compliant. If, for example, this is a cost to replace it in place, to fix the potted holes, to upgrade the field and the track only. A little bit of lighting adjustment that's needed there, about $4.8 million and change. Now we noticed that if you have field events, it's good. If you have soccer or football, it's not really regulation. You might look at if it adjusts moving it north, it might become better at that, which would be probably more on a price tag there. But it's just a track and field that improved with synthetic surfaces. Last one I want to go is Yuba Gardens. The playground, the asphalt playground is kind of, I'm going to say a little hazardous, with the cracking and stuff. It's just not a safe playground overall and needs to be replaced. To rip up the entire playground all around and in and out the portables and all that sort of thing, you might even have to be careful around the buildings, but it's about $1.3 million in change. That includes all the striping, all the compaction, and this is just basically a surface replacement of about that much stuff. Okay, that concludes our assessment here, and that is complete, correct, in terms of all the campuses. So, and we're on to the next things of ed spec and those sorts of things in the whole master plan process. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
For Marysville High School, you have synthetic track and field?
At Lyndhurst?
No, you say Marysville High School?
Yes.
What would be the cost for regular turf
Regular turf,
and track?
It's almost a half and half price, just off the top of my head. If it's just the track, there's a lot of, what really goes into a lot of work like this is what you do below the synthetic surfaces, drainage, getting rid of gophers and all that sort of thing. There's a lot of grading and drainage that goes into a project like this. So I'd say it's off the top of my head, maybe $2.5 million just for the track.
Both our schools need that synthetic tracks. I coach track at Lyndhurst, and that track at Marysville High. Marysville High is worse than Lyndhurst as far as a track, because you can't even get the regulation lanes in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Historically, I think synthetic cost approximately twice as much as turf and DG track.
I've seen at Whitney High School in Rockland, I've seen, and I asked the principal there how much, incredible what they paid to put that in.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's beautiful, and if you have the upfront cost to do it, it really pays off.
I agree.
But it is an investment because, it's
That's my pet. Randy can tell you. Thank you.
So I would like to thank Jeff and Max for your presentation today, and I think the one good thing right now, this is great timing because the district does have quite a bit of money for one-time funding, and it is one of the goals that the board has given the superintendent is to look at facilities. So I think this is a great time to have our facilities master plan to see what prioritize things and see what we can actually afford to do in the near future. And Mr. Trower, if I could ask you, maybe you could tell us what our current projects we're working on and maybe the couple in the near future that we have plans for. And then thirdly, if you could just maybe address what the district has already done at Foothill for path of travel.
So for path of travel at Foothill, we really haven't done anything upgrade-wise. We have done path of travel inside the classrooms as far as being able to get out in case of an emergency. We're still looking at what we're going to do with that site inside and for parking. At Marysville High School, one of the projects that we're doing right now that will be coming to you guys is the basketball floor for the stadium, and we've upgraded the wall in that facility. We'll be doing the flooring hopefully soon. And
let me readdress my question, Doug. What are we currently looking at? Big projects that we're currently doing? I'm thinking Arboga, I'm thinking of Cove Lot, yes. And I'm thinking of the plans that we have for Foothill.
Okay, so at this point, the plans, we haven't gone into the plan stage yet, so we have to go out for a request for proposals from architects to come up with their plans for Foothill School. We are in the planning stage at Cove Lot School. For the design of those the design of those classrooms and what the parking lot will look like. And
can you give us a little overview of what Cove Lot the district's thinking about?
So Cove Lot is looking at doing a 2-story building, 16 classrooms, and they'll have a sitting area out front of that for outside learning. And then they're also looking at upgrading the parking lot that's on is that F Street out front? F Street out front to accommodate more teacher parking and get some of the cars off the street. And then eliminate the portables that are there and redo a grass area on the south side of the school.
And if you could maybe review for the public what we currently have going out at our bogus school.
So out at our bogus school, we have 2 classroom buildings, and I think it's 11 classrooms altogether, and a multi-purpose room that'll accommodate the kitchen and also sports activities there.
Thank you very much. Sorry for putting you on the spot, Doug, but you
No
did
problem.
a fine job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I do want to just bring up one other concern that I have is, again, in our presentation tonight, we heard quite a few school sites that have HVAC system concerns. And, you know, we're currently in a contract with SiteLogic, another organization, that was supposed to be one of the main things that they were going to look at throughout our district to make sure that our HVAC systems are not going to be something that we have to replace very soon. I know they have replaced a number of units, but looking at this report or hearing in this report, it sounds like we have quite a few that are still in need of replacement, and I'm really disappointed, or maybe I don't understand. I thought that was going to be something the district isn't going to have to worry about for some time with this contract with SiteLogic.
So the walk that PBK did coincided with the work that was done by SiteLogic. So a lot of the units that they speak about in this report have been replaced.
So maybe it would be a good cross-reference that this report or PBK could get with SiteLogic and say these are the ones we've already replaced. District isn't going to have to worry about, you know, these in the near future, just so we have, because again, right now, it doesn't sound like this report, even though we're hearing it, is not accurate.
Yeah, there are some things that are in this report that have already been done. I noticed some kitchen work at Johnson Park for the freezer has been replaced. That was on the report, and every air conditioning unit that was listed as old and needing replaced was replaced by SiteLogic.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Trower.
Thank you. One more question, Mr. Crowell. With the street running between the campuses there at Coblot, have we had any conversation or any kind of discussions with the city about what we would like to do?
I have not been able to get in contact with the city manager at this point, but that's still ongoing.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I've contacted the city many times in the past. They just don't want to see with opening it up. So, maybe they're changed with the new mayor. I don't know.
One of the things
Could I speak one more to Mr. Rasmussen's comment? I think in the report with the HVAC especially, the report mentioned things that are imminent and also that are more long-term. Some of the things that were brought up, even though I mentioned they were noteworthy, some of them might have been more on the long-term. So though the facilities team and maintenance team has worked through it at correcting a lot of the imminent needs of the unit replacements, there are some that are more long-term that they're not going to replace now, but it goes into the report as something that needs to be tracked. And so just keep that in mind, that our condition assessment report is not considered a fix-it list. It's an assessment of current conditions. And so though some appear to be directly related to being able to fix, like a fix-it list, and they have, some of it is more long-term goal planning, and keep an eye on it, because that unit might be, in need of replacement, maybe 5-10 years down the road, whereas it wouldn't be replaced right now. So just to kind of clarify that a little bit.
Thank you very much. One other comment, I was just thinking it might be, and I'll leave this up to staff. First, I was thinking about this report being put on our website so the public could review it and look at the different, their schools that they're concerned about or the overall district. But then, you know, my other side is saying if it's not an accurate report, we've already repaired or done a lot of things, it may give a false impression. So we'll leave that up to staff to decide.
Yes, I think that's a great idea because the Facilities Master Planning Committee is going to get an executive summary sheet of all the, and I think you're already preparing it for us, thank you, Max and Jeff, all the dark maroons and the reds so that we have a list of those in one sheet, and that's something that we can put up. At that point, we can take up the stuff that Doug can work with you to remove those that have been addressed. Yeah. And we can constantly update with the date at the bottom, updated as of, because this is not a fixed item. It gets improved every time that Doug is addressing it.
Yeah, and this is, again, this is just one part or aspect of the overall master plan. So I totally agree with you, Doctor, that to release, I think to release just the condition assessment report to the public, it kind of presents a perception that is not really reality, because this is just one component that goes into the master planning where, you know, there's needs assessments that are evaluated, there's educational specs that are rolled into it, and there's needs from the community and also the principals at each site that go into not only the existing condition but what the future needs are, and it marries those together into the master plan, which is, I think, ultimately what the end game is and what the community is going to want.
Any more questions? Now we're going to move into the superintendent, and before we approve the minutes of the March 8th, 22 minutes, I'd like to make a few corrections to the agenda. Item 13.4 and the consent agenda has been pulled. Item 17.1 and new business, we will be approving the job description and position of the summer school principal. Item 18.1, we will approve the job description and position of the facilities project manager. Now we'll move to the approval of minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes from the March 8th, 22 agenda, minutes? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Second? Second by Ms. Allison. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. It looks like I skipped another item. Sorry about that. We have the update to the departments, and so we have business services.
Good evening. I just have a few updates from the business department. First, I'd like to thank Brian Horn and his warehouse team for bringing over all of the band equipment and transporting it here so we can enjoy the band performance from Yuba Gardens. Second, you all have a flyer for our new menu for plant-based meals. Today they served the savory bacon black bean burger, no bacon, just the black bean burger. And on Thursday will be the hummus lunch kit that is scratch in-house made by our nutrition service team over at Marysville. And lastly, I just want to update that our accounting department, Krisha, Karen, and Tessa have been starting their site visits to meet with the office staff at the sites and offer some support and show some appreciation for all their hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Greco?
Okay, from the personnel side of things,
Thank you again to MUTA. We had a great bargaining session. I think those are going well, as Angela articulated. CSEA as well, moving forward with them. And we have another session coming up on March 30th with MUTA, and then coming up again the following week afterwards with CSEA. I think looking at the agenda, you can see there's a lot of hiring going on right now. I think one of the things that, and it harkens back to a board member who sat here for a long time, I remember always hearing Jim Fleury's story of starting as a bus driver and working up. Anyone who's been around the district has heard that. I like looking at the classified resignations this month, because as you can see this month and last month, most of those are promotions or taking other positions that are full-time or higher up in the district. So just watching people continue along those journeys, hoping that they continue and follow forward in the community with the work that they're doing, following into the teacher ranks and the rest of it. And for business or for educational services, we are coming into LCAP season. All of those things are beginning to work. All of the strategic planning that we're doing around that with Dr. Asrani and Amy Stratton are coming together. And so those pieces are coming together as well. And so that is it for educational services and personnel.
Thank you. Dr. Ashrani.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. We're almost finishing up March. Next we meet will be after the spring break. So just giving everybody an advanced spring break, enjoy that. But I'd like to dedicate my time today to an excellent principal. We've all watched that during COVID, things have not been easy. We've had a lot of conflicting pressures from the community, and Ashley Vetty at Foothill has done an incredible job trying to balance the demands of the state of California with the community requests. And but out of that, she has scheduled, with the help of her staff and parents, one of the most phenomenal college and career events that I have seen. And I'd like to give her the floor to come and talk a little bit, because despite all the negativity, I do want to acknowledge the work of our principals, our teachers, our classified staff, our administrators, and my cabinet, that we haven't stopped. And so this is an example of the creativity that's happening despite the pandemic. Ashley, you have the floor now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fall. Good evening, board trustees and district administrators. I would like to begin first by acknowledging the amazing community that I'm a part of in the Foothills. The supportive parents who are so giving of their time and their talents, and the staff that I have the honor of working alongside. I would also like to thank Dr. Asrani and Dr. Greco for attending our event and knowing the value in what was happening and asking me to share tonight. We appreciate your support of our school and your desire to capture the moment and celebrate. All the celebrations are pretty amazing. I put together kind of a photo walk of the week, and I don't know if we passed my little folder around or not, which you don't have to, but it does kind of show the amount of work from our College and Career Week committee. And this is just a sampling of what our students were able to experience from the 14th to the 18th last week. So this first slide showcases the College and Career Week committee of Carmi Ellison, Patty Gates, Jerry Garrick, Diane Harris, Carrie Hereford, Michelle Parsons, Carly Pruitt, and Alicia Wright. I sent a message inviting all of them to attend tonight, just to be a part of the presentation, because I absolutely have to give credit where credit is due. And these folks put on something that I was comparing to a wedding, a week-long wedding. It was really, really intense and amazing. So I have two here tonight. I'd just like to quickly recognize Carmi Ellison. Thank you. And Alicia Wright. All right, so really the easiest way to kind of quickly give you a sampling of what happened is just to walk you through the week. So we started with a March Madness event, which was to get the students excited, motivated, and really kind of have them understand what we were about to do. So in this photo, you can see the parents came on Saturday to set up, and in that top corner, that's the dorm room that was created on the stage, and then there were some games happening. Tuesday was First Responders Day, and our entire blacktop was filled, and actually filled. It was hard to find places for people to park, and we had a whole group. I think even, I want to say, we had one of every kind of fire truck. We had like a structure unit and a grass unit, and we had the forestry and their unit. So it was such a all-inclusive of all the different first responders. And so I tried to include a couple of pictures. This is not everything, but it's showcasing a few. And you can see our students through the week. I feel like they really were very mature about everything that they were seeing. They talked to all of the presenters. Wednesday was College Day. And I feel like this maybe came up at a past board meeting when we had mentioned or talked about VR goggles. It may have just been in a principals meeting. But our district has purchased for high schools and middle schools a set of VR, virtual reality goggles. So using this, we allowed students to select different 360 tours from college campuses. And so they were able to go in and tour a college campus. And the one that comes to mind during this, there was quite a few students who chose UCLA. And I remember that specifically because students, and the tours were either by bike, by car, or by drone. And at one point, I think it was the girls were really excited because there was a Taco Bell right next to the dorms. And so they're able to experience all of that. So there's one picture where there's a student whose back, he's turned backwards. Well, that's because it was 360. They even, if it was a walking tour, they had a shadow. And so they were able to look around the entire college campus, which was pretty amazing. This is the dorm room that was up on the stage. And that was really exciting. They got to take photos in the dorm room. And then Thursday was military and public service. And so we had several presenters on this day as well. The bridge inspection truck that came from Caltrans was pretty impressive. And then we had PG&E. We even had our local BVID, Browns Valley Irrigation District, came out. Friday was the College and Career Seminar. And there's notes on my paper there that you can see where we had some changes to our scheduled presenters. But if I can explain this day to kind of make it make sense, it really felt like as soon as kids walked onto campus that they had arrived at a conference that teachers would attend. There were sandwich boards with directions and places to go. There was a hospitality room for all of our presenters that made you feel like you were at the Ritz-Carlton. They were so well taken care of by our parent volunteers. And students all had a lanyard with their assigned places that they were going to go based on a career, a college and career survey that they had taken weeks prior. And then they were assigned into groups that matched what they showed interest in or showed a strength in. So they went through rotations. We changed up our schedule, and they did an amazing job. And we had speakers in all rooms of our campus, including like an outdoor band room portable, and then we had a Yuba-Sutter transit bus that became an outdoor classroom, and we had a Sarah Specht, a veterinarian, came and also used some outdoor space. Here's some additional photos. This slide I included just so I didn't forget to talk about the really amazing way that this week ended. So we had that happen on Friday, and then during advisory on Monday, we had this video and we raffled off all of the donated items. So the things that were in the dorm room, we had, I think that the two huge, actually no, there was really one that was kind of the leader. All the students wanted the mini fridge. And when we picked the winner for the mini fridge and then the mom came to pick it up, she was pretty surprised. She said, I thought you guys meant like a little tiny 6-pack like holder or something, but it was a regular miniature refrigerator, mini fridge. So that was fun. We gave away a Chromebook and then lots of others. So the bedding that you saw in the dorm room, all that was donated and given away. And then these are, I wanted to make sure that I publicly gave recognition to our sponsors. So just looking at this, you know how much work went into an event like this. It takes so much to go out into the community and build those partnerships with local businesses. And they did an incredible job representing our school and involving people in this event. And today, we were actually on the front page of the Appeal Democrat. If you missed it, grab a paper. It's a really nice article about what happened last week. And that's it. Any questions? Thank you again for allowing me this moment to present.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? So now we'll move to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that we would like pulled other than the item that I've already brought up, 13.4? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Randy Rasmussen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we move to the new business on page 14. I'm sorry, I'm skipping all over the place.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
So I wasn't sure that we have a, okay.
What do we do?
Well, we're trying to. We'd like to introduce some new principals.
So at this time, if we can please recognize Ms. Critchfield as a new Director of Early Childhood Education. Ms. Critchfield.
Thank you. Thank you, Board of Trustees and Dr. Fall. I am so excited that the board approved my new position for next year as the Director of Child Development. I have huge shoes to fill, but I will continue the work with the amazing work they've done with conscious discipline, and the teachers are just experts in that field, and I'm very excited. So thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And also today we approved Chris Schmidt as a new principal of Lyndhurst High School.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Asrani and Cabinet. I want to thank you very much for allowing me to continue working with the amazing staff at Lyndhurst High School and the most remarkable student body. I've been there for 8 years, and during that time, I've had a great mentor, Mr. Eckert. Thank you, I appreciate you. The staff at Lyndhurst High School does everything they can, both classified and certificated, to remove barriers from students, or from the students to be able to succeed. And when we see those students make it across the stage, it's a proud moment for all of us. I really appreciate the opportunity that you guys are giving me to be the principal of Lyndhurst High School. I'm proud to be a Blazer. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And just today, out of closed session, the board approved our new Director of Special Education. So I would like to call up Ms. Siobhan Matthews.
Board and Cabinet, thank you very much. I'm excited for this opportunity. It'll be a challenge. It has a place dear to my heart. I started my career as speech and language specialist for Yuba County, but within Marysville Joint, and so it feels a little bit like going back to roots, and it's a passion to help students of all abilities improve. So thank you.
Thank you.
If I might just make one comment. It's just so exciting. As you can see from their faces, you know, the excitement. I just want to say thank you. I know all of us comfortable in our jobs, and the fact that we have so many people, and it started with the guy in blue that started this domino effect. Thank you, Bob, for stepping up to the adult school. and in the process, we can see this wonderful leadership that's coming up into different places. Thank you for your trust and for your courage in stepping up and taking new positions. We need your leadership, so thank you.
Now we start with the new business, education services. 16.1, first read, board policy 6164.5, student study teams.
Now it's my turn to speak on this. Sorry, they really call me up there. So this board policy is just, it's not replacing an old one. It's just one that we haven't had, but we've always had student study team meetings with our families. And the purpose behind an SST is just to get the family and the school and the child, the student together when they're struggling academically or behaviorally, and we work as a team to focus on their strengths and figure out what we can put in place to help the students. So it's a really great effort. We have our outreach consultants that we hired this year that are really moving this along and making sure that we're doing really effective SSTs and follow-up. So this is just the board policy on that and what that is.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That was an informational item. Now we move to, find my numbers. The approval and adoption of board policy 6142.7, physical education and activity. Second.
Good evening. This board policy is a second read for the physical education. As you recall, last time we discussed this, we had to change the language on who approved the PE exemptions. It needed to read the school board or county superintendent.
Are there any questions? Now we need to approve the policy. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve and adopt board policy 6142.7.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we have 16.3, approve and adopt Administrative Regulation 1312.4, Williams Uniform Complaint Procedures, second read.
This is an administrative reg. This is the one administrative reg that needs to be approved by the board that shows that our Williams Uniform Complaint Procedures has board approval, and this was one of those FPM findings that requires a board approval.
Are there any questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Are there any questions from the public? We have a motion.
Should I withdraw?
We need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rasmussen. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item, 17, new business personnel. Approve the job description and position of the summer school principal.
Okay, so as developed last year, we plan as MGUSC to run summer school programs again this year. This year we'll have a 13-day program for students. This contract would be a 20-day for the planning, implementation, hiring, and running of the summer school programs at the designated sites throughout the summer. This is the principal position who would oversee those programs.
Where will they be stationed? They come out of the district office, or do they come out of one of the other schools?
The principals? So the principals would be stationed at the locations where we're having the summer school program. So there'd be an overseeing principal at each of the participating sites.
Okay. Any questions for Dr. Greco? If not, do I hear a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Motion approved by Doug Criddle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now we have 18.1, the new business for business services. Approve the job description and a position for a facilities project manager.
Okay, thank you. This item is for a facilities project manager. As you know, we have our BOGA going on. We have Covalod coming up next, and then Foothill, after that. So we are asking that you approve this position for facilities project manager to be in-house and to assist and navigate through those processes.
Dr. Israni.
Thank you. And it's correct that we do need a project manager. We do have another request, of course, at the same time. We know that the project manager positions right now, with the way the market is with construction, is going to be really hard to fill. So we come with asking the board to give us permission to open an RFP, and that would be to look at if there's any construction project management companies, which is more possible. They kind of bring a whole team of engineers and project managers and site managers, and they run a whole project. As you know, we've got 3. We just not even started Covalod yet. Foothill is coming on board soon with all the steps to be completed, and then Arboga must be wrapped up in a fiscally responsible manner. So we are asking that apart from this, the board give us direction also to open an RFP and bring back on April 26th either a person that we can find. This is what the board would want us to do first. If we don't find a person qualified, then we bring to the table an RFP, somebody who's selected through the process. We also would like to ask the board at this time to consider, since we have nobody managing the projects at this time, if you could please give us permission to go ahead and hire a short-term project manager till this process finishes. So maybe for the next month or 2. We've had a little gap in the last 3 weeks, and we really need to ramp up that work. So it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of oversight, and it really requires a dedicated person to be doing that with the construction firms and everything that goes with it. Jennifer, is there anything you would like to add that I might have missed?
Nope, I think that pretty much covers it. Thank you.
So Dr. Azrani, just clarification in my mind. So what we're looking at, we have an action item that we're discussing to hire somebody, but you're asking direction from the board for having a short-term project manager for the board, for the staff to go out and look for, and then you're asking direction from the board to run an RFP for a project managing company. So those are 3 separate items, but it's not. I guess I would think if we're thinking about giving direction, are we looking to give direction, maybe we do that prior to the action item, or?
No, after, I would think.
Yes, and the reason I put it all out there because I wanted completely transparently that we do have a need, and the need is pretty significant. So yes, the action item is to just vote on this one, and then I need direction that I can open an RFP and that we as a district can hire a short-term project manager. I thank you, Mr. Rasmussen, for clearing that.
I think that with the given economy and the way things are and trying to find that position, it may behoove us to look at that more proactively sooner than later. For that, I would say we'd like to make a motion to open that RFP up for that position.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Crito, I think I shouldn't jump in here right now, but maybe we go back with Mr. Crawford saying, I think what we should do, because the only action item that we have is to approve this position for a project manager, not an RFP. So the action item here is written to approve the position. And then what we're looking is trying to give direction. So maybe we should go ahead and see about approving this action item, and then we could further that discussion afterwards.
Okay.
So with that, I would make a motion to approve the job, wrong one. Oh, man, I'm on the wrong page here. Where are we at? Oh, sorry. Make a motion to approve the job description and the position for the facility project manager.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. Passes 6-0. Frank Crawford votes no. And I guess what we're looking at now is where the board wants to go with what's been added. It's the RFP and the temporary, whatever it becomes, person or firm, while we are in the middle of trying to hire a permanent person. So what would the board like to do?
Well, you're looking for direction for Dr. Asrani. I say that we don't want to have that big gap in there, so we do need to move ahead with our RFP and have somebody in the interim.
Is there any board member that does not approve it?
With reservations.
I believe you have your direction. With that, meeting adjourned.
Is there a public?
At least one traumatic childhood event by age 16.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
is a program that focuses on substance use prevention and education throughout California. And this program is implemented in at least 7 schools throughout California, and including River Valley High School and Yuba City High School. So we need to be more aware of what happens to our students. When one thinks about the face of addiction, we usually think about a woman's prison. But the face of addiction can be anyone. It can be an AP student, the football team captain, the presidents at clubs on campus. We need to be more involved and not follow the mindset that we will never have to face this issue at our school, or my kids will never do drugs. I've heard stories from my students about substance abuse on their campus. Kids are selling drugs on social medias, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. They have shared about drug use on campus ranging from vape pens, alcohol, and pills. Most of these students aren't even aware of the consequences of the substances they're admitting to their bodies. Our younger people are dying due to experimenting on drugs. For instance, not all pills are the same. Some can be laced with fentanyl, which is a synthetic opioid that can be 50 times more potent than heroin. A CDC study published in December 2021 reported an increased trend where illicitly manufactured fentanyl was estimated to be found in 64% of the 100,000 overdose drug case deaths ranging from May 2020 through April 2021. It's not fair for a parent to lose their child, and it isn't fair for us to just sit there and not do anything when our students are in need and not provide them with emergency resources. So please, I urge you to hear out our youth and provide them with needed resources. Thank you.
Me?
Good evening to the school board and audience. My name is Simi Humble, and I'm a freshman at River Valley in the CAD intern. I wanted to discuss Narcan with you all. Narcan is used to treat overdoses from opioids. It's the only use it has. It's virtually useless in all other aspects, but its purpose is to save lives. Fentanyl and other opioid cases are on the rise. As teen drug use continues to increase, I believe it's the school board's responsibility to ensure student safety. After an overdose, the next 10 to 15 minutes are crucial. Narcan easily reverses the effects of the overdose and stabilizes the person. It's imperative that we have it in all our school settings in at least a few different areas. Narcan should be easily accessible to all the students in case of an emergency. It's the same as any other emergency medical or safety tool, such as EpiPens, fire extinguishers, and more. I truly hope the board takes my information into consideration when thinking about student safety and considers bringing Narcan into our schools. In order to educate today's students to succeed in tomorrow's world, we must do everything we can to ensure their safety and well-being. Therefore, we are petitioning to bring Narcan into our schools. Thank you for your time.
Benary?
Good evening, board members. My name is Mary Bains, and I am a CAD intern and a sophomore at Yuba-Sutter High School. I truly believe we should bring Narcan onto all of our campuses as it can save a life, and it's really easy to get trained. Our fellow CAD interns and I are all trained to use Narcan and all have this benefit with us. There's a free 1-hour-long training hosted by a certified Narcan and CPR instructor. It's online, making it easily accessible. The trainings are held twice a week, and it's once in the morning and once in the evening at 5 p.m., so it doesn't get in the way of teaching hours, making it easily accessible for all faculty to attend. And after the training, they advise you to take a brief survey so they can mail you your free kit, which looks like this. And it comes with 2 single-dose Narcan nasal sprays, as well as gloves to keep the situation as sanitary as you possibly can, as well as a face shield in case you need to give CPR, as well as a pamphlet which advises you how to use Narcan in case you forget in the moment, as well as what to say to the 911 operator in case you don't know. And if you're ever faced with a situation where you need to use the Narcan, you can email the Alliance of Correlations, which is the organization that hosts these free online trainings, and they'll send you a free replacement. The does expire within 24 to 36 months, and there's an expiration date on the top of the box with an exact date. And if you don't use it by then, you can just mail it back and they'll send you another one free of charge. It's extremely crucial to have all of our faculty trained to use Narcan, as it can save a life. Thank you.
Amandeep.
Good afternoon, school board members. My name is Amandeep Kaur, and I go to River Valley High School. I am a part of the CARE internship. As mentioned, Narcan is an opioid for overdose of drugs. Many schools have Narcan available on campus, and some are still trying to get permission, while some districts have completely banned it. A new program called APHS, Parents for Addiction Treatment and Healing, wants to bring Narcan to some schools in the Grossmont Union High School District, which is only a couple of hours away from here. Cal Poly San Luis offers free overdose prevention kits to students that include Narcan and trains them how to use it. And Fresno Pacific University has Narcan available on several places on campus, including the health department and the athletic department. Not to mention, Stanford University also has Narcan available on campus for students to use, and not only can students use them, but anyone in general can use them, like for example, staff, teachers, or even principals. And it's almost like a fire extinguisher when you have it in every classroom or in campus, but you hope not to use it, but you still have it just in case if it's needed. And that is the same thing with Narcan. At the end of the day, it's always a backup plan to have and could possibly end up saving someone's life or even your dear one's life. Therefore, Narcan should be available on campus and it should be there to help everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, school board members. My name is Saj Dung. I'm a senior at Yuba-Sutter High School, and I'm also the student body president. And I'm also a CAD intern. When I first heard of CAD, I knew I wanted to take a part of this because of the huge substance use issues I've seen on my campus and in my general community. CAD has given me the opportunity to open a new perspective about the ongoing substance use issues within our youth and our communities. It's important to recognize that the problem isn't the population who is struggling, rather the lack of education and resources available to them. Today, I'm going to elaborate more information on what my fellow CAD interns have already touched upon. As we all know, YC, like many other schools, has a substance use issue. I remember my cousin talking about his first day at Yuba-Sutter High School, and he remembers a student had overdosed in the school bathroom right in front of him. These past few years, we've seen our students just increasingly get deeper into this issue. These past few years, I've seen students vaping everywhere. Either it's in bathroom stalls, in classrooms, just blowing the smoke into their backpacks, or it's any corner security guard isn't present. Vaping seems to be the most popular on our campus, but that doesn't mean other substances haven't found a way onto our school grounds. Fentanyl is the biggest drug on the market currently, and it seems to have found its way already onto students. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control reported that more than 81,000 people died from drug overdoses in 2020, with fentanyl being the primary driver of this increase. In Fresno County, drug overdoses caused by fentanyl more than doubled in 2020 from the year before. After talking to an individual from Fresno I met at Youth Quest, a tobacco prevention program led by youth advocates held at the state capitol this past Monday, she mentioned that the Friday before, a girl had overdosed in front of her in the school bathrooms. It's only a matter of time before we see a rise of fentanyl overdoses at our Yuba-Sutter schools as well. Just January of this year, fentanyl was found during a drug bust in a Yuba-Sutter home. In February, a man was arrested in Yuba-Sutter after 148 pills of fentanyl were found in his car. The fentanyl crisis has already arrived in Yuba-Sutter. It's just a matter of time before we start seeing our youth bringing it onto our campuses. After many conversations with our YCHS administration, our school principal, Mr. Olson, has stated that he gives us his full support to bring Narcan onto our campuses and take a step towards making YC and all our other schools into a safer and substance-free environment. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Survi Sabharwal. I'm a junior at Yuba-Sutter High School, and I'm a care intern. Throughout my time at Yuba-Sutter High School, drugs and alcohol were exposed to me immediately. However, it was not the first time, as my peers have been involved in taking and using substances in as early as 6th grade. Just to put that into perspective, we were 11 years old. The exposure of drugs and alcohol has increased in children of early ages, resulting in need of Narcan on school campuses. The use of drugs and alcohol is more mobile than ever before. During my sophomore year at Yuba City High School, I have mourned the deaths of 3 of my peers due to the overdose of fentanyl and other substances that could have been prevented by the reversing effects of Narcan. There would be no reason not to carry a simple tool that could have saved the lives of my peers. We can do better and make sure this never happens again.
Good job.
Good evening. My name is Gertrude Bradell, and I'm a sophomore attending River Valley High School in Academy. This evening, I will be talking about the local fentanyl crisis in Yuba County and throughout the world. The cases have risen since 2017. In Oliver's, multiple cases back in December of 2021 found 3 people overdosed and unresponsive. These 3 cases were in less than 24 hours, and the sheriffs administered Narcan. One of the patients had a needle in his arm, and the responding duty officer got there in time, and after using Narcan, he was taken straight to the hospital. In this situation, with the easy access to Narcan and the use of it, the teens were still breathing and kept alive until they were admitted to the hospital. The fentanyl crisis is getting worse as time goes on. Because no one is taking action, it is affecting our community. In 2022, 591,000 teens ages from 12 to 17 have used substance, and about 10% of 8th graders have used opioids such as fentanyl. Since 2010, there has been a 120% increase in death due to fentanyl overdoses. There were 56,000 deaths in 2020 from fentanyl overdose. I truly believe having a Narcan in schools can help us save many lives if an overdose were to occur. Thank you.
Harmeet.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuba-Sutter. I'm a senior at River Valley High School and I'm also a CAD intern. I have just come up here to provide another reason as to why Narcan should be available in all school campuses at all times. Obviously, none of you guys need to hear me tell you guys that it's illegal for underage kids to be buying substances, but what kids can't have, they want more. So, with drugs having been so idolized and normalized in school that kids want to either be like their peers or they want to just have that experience for once, they're going to go through any means to buy it, which means that they'll have to go through this. They'll have to go through this middleman that's buying from some sort of source that may not be as safe as a dispensary or a liquor store or whatever it may be. And this source is getting their stuff from any place that's mass-produced, cheaply, whatever. And for it to be mass-produced and for it to be cheap, it's being laced with fentanyl. It's being packed in with fentanyl. The thing with fentanyl is that it's not being measured, which means you can buy a pack of pills. One pill may be completely harmless because it doesn't have that much, but the same pill from the different pill from the same pack can have a lethal amount that can kill you. That's it.
What is the intern that you're referring to? Is somebody with Narcan? I forget.
CARE, that's the program that's run by Gianna movement. The program is called CARE, and they're interns for the program. Yeah.
All right, turn them brief.
KHAF.
KHAF.
Yeah, it's a health and wellness internship. Good afternoon, school board members. My name is Jennifer Knipger, and I'm a CAD intern at River Valley High School. Narcan is known to treat all sorts of opiate overdoses. Some of the strongest opioids like oxycodone, fentanyl, heroin, codeine, and morphine can be treated with Narcan. According to the Addiction Center, 81.6% of Narcan has reversed overdoses involving heroin. The university study has revealed that Narcan has been proven to reverse 80 to 90% of reported incidents. In the United States, it has been documented about 700,000 adolescents have misused opioids in 2018, according to the American Addiction Center. This is extremely alarming because the numbers have risen after the pandemic. In California, it was noted 7.5% of students have used opioids since 2020. I urge you all to really think this through and listen to us. You are our elected representatives, and we deserve to be heard and feel safe on our campus. Our goal is to openly start talking about the substance use issue and take preventive measures. Thank you.
Okay. The board cannot comment on what you said, but if the board would like, Ms. Osumi can give us a report the next board meeting on the use of Narcan, as well as checking with legal counsel about any liability issues.
Yeah, I've already started that process. This actually came to us as a concern, so I've already started to develop a policy for the board to consider, as well as the process and procedure for having it on campus, training, and the rest of it. So it actually is timely, and so the board will have the opportunity to hear a policy and hear the information regarding concerns of liability and confidence.
We train our officers at the academy that I run on the use of Narcan, but we also train them on fentanyl. It's highly, you can touch it and overdose, which you didn't mention, but we've had officers that have had reactions to fentanyl just by apprehending someone who has ingested it. The other problem with that is that we're dealing at the state level with not just a reaction. You see, the use of Narcan is a reaction to an epidemic and a problem. We need more information and education along with that. And so hopefully when Ms. Osumi talks to us, the board can have a discussion about educating our students, because the other problem is that people will take, students especially, will take one drug and not know that fentanyl is in it. And that's what's killing most of them. They think they're taking one thing, smoking with pot or whatever, and it's got fentanyl in it, which causes death. So there's a lot more information out there that we need besides the use of Narcan. We need to understand fully the situation and the deadly impact of Narcan. I mean, of fentanyl, because I know when I traveled to Tennessee, the rate there went up by 65%. And these were drug addicts, just regular drug addicts, but they now were using fentanyl, and that's what was killing them. It's like we saw in the 70s, where we had a lot of military people coming back from Vietnam with pure heroin. Now, a good drug dealer knows to cut it. But when you give pure heroin to an addict, they'll drop just like that. And Narcan was actually used back then. So the information is out there, board, and hopefully Ms. Osumi will bring that to us. And we want to thank you for your comments and your education. Thank you. Board, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Is there any item that any board member wants taken separately? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion from Ms. Dami and a second from Mr. Rusko to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Oh, and I also wanted to thank Ms. Storman, Ms. Mercedes, for your comments to the board. I apologize for not recognizing you sooner. Okay, action items. The first item is the expulsions that were discussed in closed session.
I make a motion that we approve as discussed in closed session.
I second the motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Pretty and a second by Mr. Quilty to approve item 13A. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, and I need to remind that Ms. Bedicaboli is not present. Item 13B, approval of Meteor Education Agreement and Resolution. Staff report.
Sorry, hold on a second.
Hi, I'm sorry. So this is the contract for the pilot program. This has been, I believe, discussed at the board meeting. This is just a disposal. Okay, sorry. As part of this pilot program, we're getting rid of our old, surplusing our old furniture to a third world nation. So this is a cost to take care of that.
Are there any questions?
I was going to ask if there are any other teachers who might need the furniture. And sometimes people, I do support getting into the third world nation, but there might be some teachers who would be interested in a spray table or especially a horseshoe table. I know horseshoe tables are all the rage.
Well, I mean, I believe the intention is to, get new furniture for everybody, so I don't think we would be using this. It would be, new and modern furniture.
Some of the teachers preferred the furniture they had as opposed to the new furniture. It's just gone, too bad.
That's my understanding, yes.
Jasmine?
My question is kind of off topic of them. A lot of other government agencies, they do auctions or something like that. Like if the community needed desks, for example, Yuba College had given free desks, I believe, right before the pandemic or during the pandemic too. Is that something that we could ever offer to the community? If the community wanted it, if parents wanted it, if they wanted to. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there since it's brought up.
So typically, if it's still usable, you wouldn't give it away, but, well, I mean, I guess the board would make action to do that, but typically you would auction it and get a bid on it. There's government websites that allow you to do that, but that was not the intention. I wasn't really involved in this part of it, but that wasn't the intention of district administration.
I just kind of want to feedback on it. I think you have a really valid point. Just in case, for I understand the direction of the district as far as getting new furniture and whatnot, but not everyone is part of the pilot program right now. So if there is a teacher that wanted something out of that, could that be possible or not?
There's a possibility. So could we, in terms of how we'll be rolling it out in the future, would be by grade level. And if a teacher chose not to participate, we're not going to be forcing furniture in the first go rounds. The intent is at the end of the furniture allocation would be that every classroom in the city would have new furniture. But I understand there's some hesitancy, and so we're not pushing teachers on the first go round.
Well, it just seems that, one size fits all may not work very well. I mean, all of this furniture seems to be one size fits all. Everybody gets the same thing, and that may not work.
It's kind of how our classrooms are currently, is that they're all are outfitted with the same type of desk, and so
if we're going to spend the money.
So that's why the pilot is occurring in terms of that, looking at what teachers in terms of grade levels need. But I do think we're going to roll out by grade level so that it'll be grade level throughout the district. And so there might be an opportunity if a second grade, third grade teacher wanted a horseshoe table for a couple of years, they could have it for a couple of years. But the intent is to try to replace the furniture year after year over the next few years.
Dana?
So it's my understanding that this
I'm sorry. I need to read the statement if we're allowing the public to speak on the item. Let me just read it and then you can.
Thank you, Jasmine.
So items posted on the agenda, notice to the public under the Brown Act. The board shall entertain comments on any item appearing on the posted agenda. As the board discusses agenda items, audience participation is permitted. Generally, the president will ask board members for their remarks before recognizing requests to speak from the audience. At the president's discretion, agenda items may be considered in other than numerical order. The board will respect the rights of the public to express their viewpoints on matters within the board's jurisdiction. However, comments that are defamatory or violate the privacy rights of any students or individuals may not be protected by law. The board shall not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of board meetings.
It's my understanding that this is a pilot, that this will begin in phases, that we are in the initial stages of teachers piloting the furniture, that the furniture that is currently in their classrooms will be moved out during spring break and will still be in the district because it's a pilot. They may say, hey, I like my original furniture better than the new furniture. So it's my understanding that their existing furniture will remain in the district. It is also my understanding that we're going to gather a great deal of data from the teachers who are piloting. That we're going, certainly from YCTA's point of view, we're going to encourage teachers to engage in the dialogue with each other. Go check out each other's rooms. Let's make sure this furniture really does serve our instructional goals. The other thing that may not be possible is every classroom is not configured in the same square footage. So that also impacts all classrooms not being uniform. So I have encouraged or appreciated the reassurance that this is indeed a pilot, that teachers will play an active role in helping decide what are the best options for our classrooms in the district. So I appreciate that reassurance.
Are there any more questions from the board? What's the pleasure of the board on this item?
What are the options? Do we
Well,
hold
true
off
or
on
not,
this?
huh?
Is that the option, like, do we hold off on
They're
this?
asking for an improvement of BR 2122.
So my question is, if this is approved, what exactly does that mean?
Well, I think the other thing too is that generally districts will start moving their furniture out rather than trying to warehouse the furniture. So this is the contract that would allow the furniture company to work with another company to move the furniture out and
So it would not be available in Yuba City for a teacher, like Ms. Lucas just said, if it's truly a pilot, I've tried this furniture out, I've decided it really does not work with for my students and the instructional program that I have. And I want my old furniture back, but if we approve this, that old furniture will be gone.
that was the intent. And then there would be the, I guess you could swap out because I'm sure there would be a grade level teacher who would want the furniture, so.
But if you're doing it across, like, let's say we're doing all kindergarten, so where would I get kindergarten furniture back from if all kindergartens have it?
Well, if we're ordering the furniture, the teachers have decided they want the furniture, their furniture won't be moved out until the new furniture is here.
I'm just having a hard time. I think we're dancing around the same answer, but it's not connecting. So I apologize.
It's okay.
So I just want to make sure that the furniture in the classroom is what will really truly work for the students and the teacher in the classroom.
That's our intent as well. That's why they're piloting it, and then they'll come back together and discuss what's working and not working. But the furniture, the older furniture, eventually needs to go somewhere, and this is the contract that allows the furniture to be then donated.
But it's not all furniture in the district as far as like kindergarten or first grade or second grade.
Well, it will be eventually as we're ordering the furniture.
But see, that's where we disconnect. Because when you say it will be eventually all kindergarten or all first grade, that to me is not a pilot program where teachers have choice.
So you pilot, and
Right.
then you'll make the decision, the teachers will be making the decision, and then we'll be starting the purchase process. So just like we pilot curriculum, and then you purchase. So we'll pilot the furniture, teachers will try it out, they'll provide feedback, and then we'll start the purchasing process. Furniture won't be moved out until the purchasing process starts.
Well, and I understand that. But my question is still, if a teacher opts out of the pilot, because I don't like that.
So the pilot, so you're specifically talking about the pilot teacher?
I'm talking about the pilot teacher and the teacher next door to the pilot teacher who looked at the furniture and said, I don't want that.
So we wouldn't order furniture for them.
Okay, so they will have that choice.
Correct, but eventually, because it would be unfair
right.
So down the road, everyone will have new furniture. But if you are hesitant the first go around,
But eventually everybody will have the same new furniture.
Sean, so I think the other thing too, I think what you're trying to say is that if I'm a pilot teacher and I get this furniture and I've spent my spring break moving the other furniture or whatever, and I don't like it, it's too bad because my old furniture is already gone.
Right.
So,
right?
I'm gonna pull this because I want to talk to Meteor regarding that exactly. I think you're specifically talking about the pilot teachers.
Well, as of right now, yeah, that's all.
And I would be surprised, but there could be pilot teachers who say, I don't like this stuff at all, bring my old desk in. And so we would want to give it to another grade level teacher.
So it's pull item 13B. We'll pull it because there's so too many questions.
When's the next board meeting, isn't it? Students.
I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I think just as my only questions or concern was students have, or not students, teachers having the opportunity to maybe take the furniture before it got hauled off. I just, along those lines of, I think there'd be teachers who'd be interested in picking and choosing some of the furniture that would be disposed. I think there'd also be teachers who'd say, she doesn't want the pilot, I'll take the pilot, they can have my old desk. So I don't think that's a problem. I'm comfortable with it. I just was interested if teachers would have the opportunity to, if they wanted a spare table or have been looking for
a short amount of time.
Yeah, for a short amount of time, or have been looking for it for a while, if they were having the opportunity. That was my only question. I'm okay.
We have another comment, Dina.
Has the district absolutely committed to buying new furniture, or is this a pilot that if teachers say, the cost-benefit analysis in their mind is that, because this is a huge amount of money, that this isn't the best expenditure of money based on the pilot? Or is this still proceeding, we're buying new furniture, it's just a matter of which new furniture?
Yeah, I think the intent was is to bring our classrooms up to 21st century standards, which they don't currently exist. And so I think, but if I don't know how many teachers were in the pilot, 20?
No, it's more like 40s.
If 40 teachers said, we hate this furniture, we absolutely think it's going to be terrible, of course we would stop and rethink about it. I doubt that's the case. There's a lot of excitement right now, but certainly if 40 teachers provided feedback and said, this is not the direction to go, then I certainly would understand that. But I'm not hearing that from the pilot teachers. They've seen the furniture, they've been the ones who've decided. I think their biggest concern is storage. Will I have enough storage? And that's the thing that we're going to relook at. But Mike, or Scott, just said that because of the timing of the board meeting, it is critical that this go through, be considered for approval.
And tonight. Okay, and yes, great.
So is there any way that, since it seems to be very controversial, is there any way we could have like a room separate here that showcases all the furniture, and tell the teachers like, hey, you need to come here and see this new stuff, so you can see it, touch it, feel it, smell it, and
so it's going to be at the sites. So that is the intent. The furniture will be in the classrooms, and so teachers are going to be invited to come into. If I'm a first grade teacher, first grade teachers can teach in my classroom if they like. So that's the intent of the pilot. It's at every single site in our district will have any furniture.
Dina, what's your understanding as the YCHS president? Or is there reluctance about the new furniture?
No, I think it's just a function of, I appreciate the superintendent's reassurance. I do think there's excitement for new furniture. I appreciate the reassurance that if you hear otherwise, that will play a role in the decision making, that this isn't a foregone conclusion that this is the best expenditure of money. Because we all recognize limited resources, and I think there's a lot of excitement. We are going to encourage teachers to get out there, go check out each other's classrooms, go visit and see what it looks like. I love the idea of, hey, try teaching in my room. So we are going to be listening to each other loud and clear. So I think when you get a recommendation, I think you'll be able to trust that those people have considered things carefully.
And so, my thoughts are that it's kind of like the survey of 2 weeks to 3 weeks. Looks to me like about 2/3 of the teachers responded. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. I mean, I would hope for a higher percentage. So it's, are we going to have the same amount of teachers that aren't going to say anything about the furniture and then complain about it, things get changed out? Because hey, I'm giving you the opportunity to look, touch, feel it, smell it, and do your thing.
Well, they're being given the option, and as it stands right now, to rely on the opinions of the 40, and they'll be able to see the furniture. Is that correct?
It's coming in during spring.
So it's not just the 40 telling the other 700, this is great. The other teachers will have the opportunity to see the furniture at the school site. the window we're up against, according to finance, is that we need to vote tonight.
I didn't realize spring break was coming so quickly.
I think my only problem with this is, I mean, you guys keep saying pilot, right? But yet you're making all the moves as if it's just gonna happen. In other words, you're putting this in place, and reading the contract, it's not piecemeal. It's not like, well, I mean, we'll use it if we need to use it, or we'll use it partial or anything like that. It seems like it's either all or nothing. Just like the contract, it's like you're gonna be charged $46,000, and they take whatever we offer them. But there's no like if we only give up half the furniture, only charge them $24,000. Kind of like, is this a one-time?
Correct.
Is that true, or is that
so the purchase
bad assumption?
That's just for the pilot, right?
So the cost of removing furniture. So correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is the intention is to buy new furniture. And the question is, what's the configuration of the furniture? What does the furniture look like? Because there's many, a manufacturer has many different types of furniture that you can purchase, right? So the intention is to buy furniture. We're piloting to see which furniture is right for the different grade levels and have everybody see it, make sure that it works. Now, if at the end of the day, the furniture is like no good, that's a whole different discussion. But I think really the intention of the pilot is to see what's the right furniture and configuration and to fine tune that process for the different grades.
I can see that. I think what's misleading that you guys keep saying that if a teacher wants to keep it, they can keep it. Which is not what you're saying the pilot is. The pilot is to pick the furniture, not to decide if you want to get it or not.
That's why I said, I hope I understand it correctly, but that's my understanding.
I'm confused too.
So what did you mean? Sorry, I'm not understanding what you just said.
No, what he said was different from what you said. You said the pilot is to decide whether the teachers want the furniture or not. If they don't want it, they can keep the original. He said no. The pilot is deciding which furniture you want, not whether you want furniture.
Well, it is, but as Gina shared it, there were 40 teachers who said the intent is to bring our classrooms up to a different
And I think we should do it. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Correct, but if 40 teachers said this furniture is terrible, that doesn't work for us, then we would really step back and want to rethink this. I wouldn't want to go in and buy a district full of classroom furniture if 40 of our teachers who are piloting it provided feedback to say this isn't what we wanted. But the intent is, Scott is right, is to bring every classroom and have new furniture.
But just to clarify, what you're going to rethink is which furniture to get, not whether or not to get furniture.
Well, I
Do you
guess
see the difference?
Yeah, but I think the intent was, when we came forward, Sarv, the intent was that we wanted new modernized classrooms and furniture. That was the intent, so that is true. But I think the thing is if in fact the teachers don't like the furniture for whatever reason, I doubt that, but for whatever reason, then we would want to step back and look at, what about the furniture don't they like? Is it the quality? Is it it doesn't do what we thought it was going to do? But the intent is to, yes, get new furniture. Is it this furniture? Our hope is yes. The teachers have been the ones designing their classrooms. So if I made it sound like, but if there is a teacher who can't right now fathom, I'm a first grade teacher and please don't change my classroom, we will bypass them as we move on in first grade, but they will eventually get classroom furniture. But we'll go on to second grade. They will not be the only first grade teacher in the whole district who doesn't have new class furniture, but that was their choice. But we're going to keep moving on.
Right, but that means they get it a year later. Or 2 years. They'll eventually get it.
Right.
I'm just trying to clarify what the difference is.
I just went through this at the safety center, and the new furniture is unbelievable. They have triangle desks.
I mean, I love
They also have desks that have the writing instrument in front of them, and you can move it. You can pull it out and move it if you're right-handed, or move it if you're left-handed. It also, what we found is our larger people can fit in those desks. I also bought some, so I got those. The triangular side desks allow you to different configurations where they can be in circles or a table. And then I bought some long tables where the computer is up there and it actually goes down underneath and it becomes a table. So the furniture manufacturers are really out there. We bought it, but we also gave the professors time to go in and sit in them. It wasn't just the writing table, what have you, it was the seats. So we now have the seats that go up and down. Are they getting new seats? No.
Getting everything.
Oh, yeah. The seats are really.
Is this just for the pilot?
Yes, is this just a pilot removal?
Yeah, this is just a pilot removal.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 13B.
Second that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Tackhart and a second by Mr. Orozco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, wait a minute. All those in favor? Okay. That's 4, all those opposed. Okay, it's 4-2. Item 13C, AG Completion Improvement Grant Plan.
Tonight's the continuation of the presentation from last week on the APHS Improvement Grant Plan. Our goal, as we have previously discussed, is to improve our students' eligibility for A2G completion. Two of the big pieces that we addressed when I initially talked about this is that this will be driven through committee. We need to have a specific committee that addresses the need for adjustments in the way we are providing some of these opportunities for students, and then use that information and from our data and our planning to target areas for improvement. This would be primarily a high school level team to do this work. The second committee would be around the improvement in math. We looked at some of that data last week around our struggles in math, and we really need to take a look at math all the way down to kindergarten and look at some of our root causes for our challenges in math, identify those areas of need, and move forward working on improvement in that for the ultimate purpose of having a pathway in our high schools to attain those 3 levels of math class that are all on grade level. Many of our students that are graduating with 3 math classes in high school are still not eligible to meet those A to G requirements because they are taking intro to integrated their first year of high school, which is not a true high school level math class. So that is, that's the core of the plan, is to really spend time looking at that data, working in committee and teams, and identifying those areas of need. Some of the programs and services identified through the state as key things that districts would want to focus on with these funds around opportunities for students to take the BSAT to really learn and understand what they need to work on to get to where they want to be with their SAT scores. Additional advanced placement test provisions, meaning opportunities to take those tests free of charge. If those are a barrier, professional development for teachers of advanced placement so that they truly understand the expectations of that assessment. Some additional counseling support for those unduplicated students that are most impacted. And then parent information opportunities, really reaching out to our families, a lot of our families. And now that we have almost 80% of our student population of students of low income, many of our parents don't have all of the information they need to work with their students and help them with guidance on the paths to A to G eligibility. And then making sure that we have, we're providing every opportunity for credit recovery for our students that have failed an ATG course. Those are some of the important programs and services for this grant. Our expenditures will be around the programs and services that we just addressed, additional instructional supports for students, some aspects of our committee work, and then any support materials and resources that we find along the way, identified through our committee work to support our students in reaching that eligibility. These are things that we will report out in 2026, as like we had discussed prior. Those are required, that's one of the requirements of the grant, is to completely report out all of your expenditures at the end, which is a standard stipulation. And then also the monitoring of the plan. We need to identify how we will monitor the plan. There are some specific requirements that you would have to share in terms of monitoring it, and that is the required pieces are overall A to G completion rate. There is an expectation that that's what you're monitoring and that's what you're going to identify in terms of success with your work. In addition to that, you need to stipulate that out to all your student groups. And then the other specific requirement is around ensuring opportunities for taking courses of rigor. That means advanced placement and dual enrollment, ensuring that students have opportunities to take those courses regardless of their current levels of experience. And then providing opportunities to recover those failing grades, that's also required. The additional piece for us is the mathematics pathway completion. That is another specific piece that we want to ensure that we are monitoring because we know that it's an area of concern for our specific district. Okay. So tonight we do bring this forward because this is one that we have to have approved as part of the requirement. It requires 2 board meetings, and then it is an action for approval that we can move forward. Yes. Any questions?
I have a question. I know at the bottom of the last couple of slides you wrote like plans and how we're going to measure. Will we get that? I know you have to report it to Sutter County different days or different years, but will we be getting, or when can we expect like an overview of how we're going to be measuring?
This is how we're going to measure, but if you want like updates, then those can be requested at any time. A requested update on the plan at any time.
So, but there's not going to be like, kind of like what we do for like our LCAP goals and things like that, like how we're the measurement.
That can be individualized for any district. What I'm sharing with you here are the requirements specific, and it's not, this is not something through that we have to work with Sutter County at all on. This is the state superintendent. So this is what I would submit to CDE.
Yeah.
We have to submit information like this for every grant plan through CDE. But if the board is interested in more, additional reports out specific to this grant, we can do that at any time.
Okay, thank you.
I think like on slide 6, you guys monitoring the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your metrics, right, I guess?
Those are the metrics, right.
I guess when can we get updates on like how the metrics are progressing?
We can do that.
Yeah,
annually, I think would be very reasonable after we get the committee going.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. I understand the English side a little bit better than the math side. My brain works that way. But I know for a fact that we have, let me restart. A to G was originally conceptualized and put into place because colleges were having students entering college who were not prepared. They did not have the skills needed in order to be successful once they entered a four-year university. So that's why A through G came into being in the first place. We now have classes in the district where students are trying to become literate at the high school level. They're still in a Read 180 program because they're functionally illiterate. Their reading level is below 8th grade. But those students are being given A through G credit for taking that class. And I find that to be disingenuous at best for the students. So my question is, what is our plan for those students who are woefully behind skill-wise in either literacy or mathematics? And is applying to being accepted for and actually attending a four-year university right out of high school part of the metric we're looking at, because that's what A through G is intended to do.
Right, I don't disagree, but we are, and that can be, that work can be part of our discussion in committee and plans set in place for that. But we are barely at 30% of our students meeting the requirement for A to G. We don't have a large group of students that are leaving us having met A to G eligibility. Our college going rate is well below the state average, and a lot of that is because they haven't met this requirement and aren't eligible to go.
And I understand that, and I know that there's a lot of kids that are kind of in that middle group. You know, our high achievers, they get through A through G, no problem. Our really struggling kids are not going to be A through G most of the time. But that group in the middle is where, you know, that 30% needs to come up, and I completely agree with you. But on the other hand, I have witnessed personally when students who have an interest in more of a vocation than a college pursuit, they are actually made to feel, and I don't think this is intentional, but because of all the push for A to G, they're made to feel as lesser, second-class citizens, because that is not their interest, is four-year university. And so I want to make sure as we move forward, we make sure that all the students feel valued, even if going to a four-year university and completing A to G is not something they want to do for themselves.
Right, and we understand that. What we want to make sure, though, is that the students have those options, and that is available and it's on the table for them. When they leave us, regardless of whatever their path may be, that is, we don't want that option off the table.
We want them to have as many open doors as possible.
Exactly.
And I understand that, but there's a huge difference between access, which means I'm capable of, and exposure, which means you show me what it is. But I'm not able to access it because I don't have the skills necessary. So there's a lot of conversation, I think, that needs to be had around that.
Sure. What's the pleasure of the board on this item?
I'm ready to make a motion to approve unless there are any other questions. I'll make a motion that we approve the grant plan as presented.
Do I have a second? Motion by Mr. Roscoe and a second by Ms. Downey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13D, 2021 and 21-22 settlement agreement between YCUSD and YCIA, Chapter 265.
So good evening, members of the board, and this is great news that I'm bringing to you for approval this evening, which is the settlement agreement for, as the board president just said, for 2020, 2021, and then 2021, 2022 with our CSEA unit. As you can see from the information that was provided, we did agree to compensation for the 2 years, and then also did a great deal of work in, I think, 7 different areas of the contract that had been of interest to both parties. A lot of good discussion. Paul problem solving and good plans to move forward to improve our systems and structures to support our employees in the classified ranks.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Reed?
No.
I think it's been heavily discussed. I'll make a motion that we approve the settlement agreement.
We have a motion by Mr. Roscoe and a second by Ms. Pretty to approve item 13D. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Reed. 2022-2023 student parent calendar.
All right, presented to you this evening, and item 13E is a student and parent calendar for 22-23 school year. You'll remember back in the fall, the board did approve a student attendance calendar, and that included a 2-week winter break and a 1-week February break, as required by contract with our YCTA group. That contract then is brought to the negotiating table to work through a work calendar and also to place our collaboration days or minimum days onto the calendar. Obviously, a work calendar and a student calendar are heavily tied together. We took to the table in our discussions with YCTA the 2-week winter break, 1-week February break, as had been approved by the board back in the fall. As we looked at the data that was presented earlier by Assistant Superintendent Langdell, that when we were looking at that data, we didn't see anything that had us steering completely in a different direction from what the board had already asked us to do with a 2-week break at the winter time. And so we brought that to the negotiating table and came up with a calendar that's inside of item 13E.
Any questions for Mr. Reed, Jasmine?
Not for Mr. Reed, but I have a comment on this. I don't know what the proper procedure or protocol would be, but I do feel like it's important for us and the community to get this information as early as possible. So while we are bringing up the 2022-2023 calendar, and I do agree, I like the way that it looks, I really want to implore the board to get these types of all the handouts and stuff like that prior to coming into the board meeting, because it would have been nice for me to maybe some people read it, some people don't, but I would have liked to been able to consider what's read in here before making a decision on a calendar, even if it was all in agreement or disagreement or whatnot. But I think that, I understand that staff has to put together PowerPoints and agendas are made on a Thursday. And so there's a quick turnaround, but is there something that we can commit to as far as getting this information to the public and to us beforehand when we're doing reports and things? That's the comment that I wanted to make, but maybe that's later on in the agenda, maybe it might fall into. But
no, I understand the request. The board made that request. We've been working to get you the handouts prior to tonight's the meeting, and sometimes sometimes it's possible and sometimes it's not, but noted, and staff will work to make sure that if possible you'll have them prior to the meeting.
Okay. I have just one nitnoid question about the calendar. In February, it looks like February 17th is a student non-attendance day, and following that is the full week of February off, starting with 20th. But when it's attached to Easter, neither the Good Friday or the Easter Monday, whichever, does not appear to be, it looks like it's just a single week. Is that accurate? What's the reason?
So 2 parts to your question. So the placement of the 17th as a holiday is requirement of Ed Code, in that the week of Abraham Lincoln's birthday, you actually need to honor his birthday with a day during that week. So that's why the 17th is there, and then tied to the week after that, which has President's Day in it, and then 4 additional days.
Okay.
President's Day is that Monday.
Yeah, and then we did have April 7th was on the calendar, but through the negotiation process, it was very important to the YCTA unit that school starts on a Wednesday, not a Tuesday. And so in order to do that, we needed to recoup a day, and that's the day we recouped was April 7th.
Okay. That'll make sense.
Any other questions or comments? May I have a motion?
Motion approved.
I second the motion.
We have a motion to approve from Ms. Dami and a second from Mr. Quilty. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Side letter between YCUSD and YCTA regarding pre-service days for 2022-2023.
So once the calendar is negotiated, it is customary in the city to agree upon a side letter which delineates the specific uses of days beyond the 180 student days that a teaching staff would work. And so the side letter, when you read through it, you'll see that it talks about professional development days, and floating preparation day, etc., as well as begins to lay out some of the days for Albert Powell and YCLA. So that's what the side letter annually covers.
Questions, board?
It just looks like this is pretty much a rollover from previous side letters. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, we usually, in the time I've been here, which is a short time, once the calendar's done, we pull up the template and plug everything in, and there's usually a few minor adjustments to that.
Okay. Yeah. If there are no questions, may I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Dami and a second by Ms. Pretty to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 13G. Go ahead.
13G is a PARS plan that we already have in place, and so this is just really updating it with 2 amendments. This is a plan where employees that are not in further STRS. What's that?
That's the board members, isn't it?
Yes, and other staff. Yeah. So essentially, there's 2 amendments that really just comply a block, and one is the upping the age for required minimum distributions to 72, and the other is in regards to this is incidental death benefits, but they're just requirements of law.
Some of you will have to wait.
It's not a question so much as a comment. This reminded me the PARS came up in December, I think it was, when there was a question about board member compensation and practice not aligning. And that was going to be revisited. I don't think we ever revisited that in practice. So just if you could bring that up, since the policy and the practice did not match up, this reminded me. I'll make a motion that we approve. If there's no questions. All right, I'll make a motion to approve 13G.
Jasmine, was that you? Yeah. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Roscoe and a second by Ms. Dami to approve. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 13H, AB 1200, disclosure of collective bargaining agreement, CSEA.
So this is a required disclosure. We do it every time we give a raise to a collective bargaining agreement or unit. And this just basically states out the cost of the district and the effect on the budget. I do want to note 2 typos, and they are on the last page. They're on the signature page. It actually, I think it lists or indicates that for YCTA, that is not accurate. This is for CSEA.
Yeah.
So we have that re-signed, and that will be the amendment. And also the agreement is really from July 1st, 20, and I think it's listed as July 1st, 19. So I apologize for the typos, but I would appreciate a motion to approve this with those amendments, listing CSEA as a bargaining unit and the date of the agreement starting July 1, 2020.
Motion to accept the amendments as stated by Mr. Datman.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Ms. Dami, a second by Ms. Pretty to approve with the corrections and amendments. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Board report and information. Do we have any committee reports?
Oh, okay. I have one question though.
Sure.
The committee that Pam was talking about earlier, is that something that you would want a board member on, or is that a committee of?
No, this would be a committee of teachers. Now, in time, if the committee makes a decision to make adjustments to the graduation requirements, which I think would probably come, then it would come to board committee for that change.
Thank you.
No committee reports. Do we have any communications from the public who's down here? Employee groups. Oh.
Good evening, board members, members of the community out there and here in the room with us. I'm Via Lukens, President of Yuba City Teachers Association. Tonight you adopted a board approved calendar for next year. I appreciate the work we all did to make some adjustments to that calendar. And I do appreciate the district surveying staff and community with regards to the 3 weeks versus the 2 weeks. And I do think, I can tell you that from the teacher point of view, the opinion changed after January versus December. And I think that's in part a function of this has been a wild and crazy ride. January especially was really difficult. Folks returned after the shorter 2-week break, large number of student absences, catch-up work. It's just been a wild ride. So I do think folks are extra exhausted, so that February break came as some welcome respite in all of this. I also wanted to mention that those pre-service days do allow teachers the opportunity to work in their classrooms beforehand. It provides 2 days worth of work, but we all recognize that for the vast majority of teachers, it's a lot more than 2 days before school starts. The teachers spend prepping their classrooms, prepping materials, and getting ready for students as we begin the school year. Paul Loomis spoke to you tonight about a matter that is very important to all of us, and that is the mental health of our students. YCHS has spoken to you in the past about the importance of our counseling program, and we would also suggest that the inclusion of our school social workers is an important piece of that. The continued investment using LCAP monies and increased investment in the mental health services to our students really is critical to their success. Paul did a good job of summarizing for you some of the impacts and effects of these COVID times on our students. There's very real trauma, and the apathy is large. We all need some help figuring out how to best address the needs of our students for their success. Before they can be A through G ready or ready for graduation, we need to get them ready to learn, ready to feel safe in our classrooms, and part of that is the mental health services. I think the students did an awesome job of talking to you about drugs in our schools, and I think that's an issue that is also part of that mental health services, but also part of a bigger picture of how we're addressing the multiple needs of our students in our community. And finally, I'd like to address you on one more area of high priority for us as this board considers LCAP spending, as you consider learning loss mitigation money, as you consider the extended learning grant. There are large sums of money available to us right now. And those large sums of money should be spent on our students right now. And one of those ways we need to spend money is on class size. Consistently, teachers have told this board and anybody else who will listen that class size matters. The best intervention for our students to mitigate learning loss is best first instruction. We can engage in an intervention after school, we can send them to summer school, we can hire tutoring companies from outside agencies, but the best intervention for our students is first instruction in the classroom with their classroom teacher. I would urge this board to make class size one of your highest priorities. Today I was at April Lane as the teachers were informed that the district is cutting the staffing at April Lane by 1 teacher. The result of that cut in FTE to April Lane will increase the class size at 5th grade to an average of 29.5. They will go from 3 teachers at 5th grade to only 2. That doesn't leave much room for any growth. And normally I would have said, 29, it's always better to have a smaller class size, but 29 and 30 in a classroom post-COVID, we really do need those smaller class sizes. A fifth grade teacher made an impassioned speech today, as Mr. Reed was there, to talk about how important those smaller class sizes have been. That even with our current class of 20, it is very difficult to meet the diverse needs of students. So I would urge you, we have money. I have been told repeatedly, there's lots of money. Let's spend it on today's kids in today's classrooms and assure them the smallest class sizes we can make happen. At April Lane, their kindergarten classroom this year is at 29. Their kindergarten class next year will be staffed at more than 26. Smaller class sizes matter. Your teachers are telling you we need help, and our students are telling us they need our time, attention, and energy. Smaller class sizes matter. I urge you to make this investment. I've heard not only of all the large sums of money out there, but in addition, the new state requirement to spend down your reserves, those one-time monies. You can make an investment for today's kids with smaller class sizes. I urge you to consider it. Thank you.
I want to say welcome, but we've already said welcome and we're ready to go home, right? So for all those still listening out there in Zoom land and hang in there, we're almost done. Thank you for approving our successor agreement. This is probably the first time I can remember in a very, 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 very long time that we are actually current on our contract. So that's pretty cool, right? Some things in there, little things that maybe we don't notice. Our night custodians that work till 11:30 at night, you've heard me talk about them. They're getting me an extra 50 cents an hour for that work until 11:30 at night, and they really appreciate it. They've been calling me and texting me and emailing me how much they appreciate that. So the difference we make matters out there, and that will make employees want to come to work and do their job because they're being compensated over. Last time I talked to you, I was in the middle of a para conference. Amazing conference. Again, thank you for allowing 3 of us to attend. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't get as much buy-in as we'd like, but we will continue to push that efforts in our unit. Last week, I met with Jordyn and Pam, where we talked about additional training for classified folks and really looking out there in our office staff and our library staffs and just in general, what kind of training we could provide to make them not only feel valued, but be better at their job. As Dina said, her teachers are overwhelmed. Our office staff's been overwhelmed, our library staff. We just, as a district, I think most employees have been really pushed to their limits. And getting that help that they need, whether it's classified or certificated, it's important to really recognize that and get that help in there so that our employees are not burning out. Next week, well actually tomorrow we have our spring reclass and a kind of a follow-up for some things for fall. And then next week we are having 3 sessions of our new hire orientation. We have been doing this since 2018, I believe. The district has been a phenomenal partner in this project that we bring in all of our new classified employees every few months that are hired. We had a lot of catch-up to do with COVID and that sort of thing. And talk to them, the district has an opportunity to kind of give them some of the ins and outs of the district and how to fill out a timesheet, how to input your absences, things like that. And then I get to talk to them about what the benefits of joining CSE are. And we do appreciate that partnership. And have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Comments from board members? Jasmine.
We heard a lot from the public today, and I just wanted to say that I think a lot of what was shared from the public will come in light of, as well, just by having our board priorities meeting and kind of the direction that the board has given. It'd be really interesting to see what the staff comes back with, I believe at the end of the month, to see if we can really hit on a lot of those things that the community talked about. And I think, I know I can speak for myself, and I'm sure I can speak for many of the board members too. I do see that, there's real concerns, and we're not oblivious to those concerns, and hope that we can make some positive strides in making that into some of those issues that are brought up.
Other comments? Okay. Okay, I'm going to offer, when the board decides what kind of information they want, to bring some of my staff here to hold some discussion on the use of fentanyl and Narcan, as well as my consultants on mental health. They are recognized throughout California, and I would like to bring them here, or at least offer them. I'll get some information to the board, and if you'd like, then we'll do that. Comments from the superintendent. Oh, and also, if you would keep my granddaughter in your thoughts. She is in parts of the world that we're not being told that we're there, but she is. And when you have top secret clearance, that's what happens. So keep her in your thoughts. She's in the Air Force. Superintendent?
Just if you have an opportunity to go over to YCHS and see our drum and orchestra students, call me Charlie Brown.
They wanted me to pay Lucy, but
it's their opportunity post mask and things to really be able to perform, so I get very excited about that. And then if you remember Reagan Denny, she is our FFA student who was took a year off from college to do some work with FFA. It's been a year since she's been doing that, so she is going to be exiting this Sunday from that job, and then we'll go on to start her college career. So she is a pretty phenomenal student, former student, so wish her well.
yes. And any other comments?
And is Charlie Brown for that? Like,
I will get you the flyer. There are different times. So there's some evenings that actually have some matinees during the day, so I will get you the flyer with the dates and times.
I know that it opened last weekend, and I've heard it was really good, so.
So I know it's Saturday and Friday night, this Friday night, Saturday, and I think
there's a Sunday matinee.
Yeah, I think so, but I'll get you those dates.
And I'd just like to recognize Ella, who has sat through this. She is taking college courses now at age, how old are you now? 12. She's 12. So she will have her AA degree
We graduated high school in December.
in December. I was her tutor. She's my daughter, so you just had her. Anyway, if there are no other comments, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Cathcart. I'll second it. Ms. Pretty, a second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, board.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.